in a village that is so beautiful and looks very clean, on a morning so cool it makes every inhabitant happy, but behind that beauty does not apply to such a man. Because that morning he saw many frames in the middle of his farm, seen a lot of chickens that died suddenly. Then the man was called Xiao Dagen. Xiao Dagen was counting the number of dead chickens. Then after that, Xiao Dagen began to check the best place to bury the poor animals. After a short time, Xiao Dagen found a certain area and started digging, but while he was digging, he was surprised to find a stone tile where the statue was kept. But after that, the man moved very quickly to retrieve items from the excavation. However, after Xiao Dagen picked up the green object from the ground, Xiao Dagen became very happy, and he believed, from an object he found it, if he sells it will make him rich. However, suddenly a drop of blood from the man's finger fell onto the statue, and because of that he started behaving strangely. Then it made him very surprised. Xiao Dagen unexpectedly from the relic flashed light from his two eyes, and it was like an unknown purple ray. Then the gleam from the eyes of the relic shot straight into Xiao Dagen's eyes. Then after that, Xiao Dagen dropped the statue and made it lose consciousness. Then after that, suddenly in front of him was a god, and he said that now he was already the disciple of the heavenly noble who possessed the ability of 10,000 poisons. After receiving the supreme art of possessing the poison skill, then he will replace him. Later, after a few, Xiao Dagen woke up with a headache while seeing the statue broken. Xiao Dagen didn't have time to start feeling sad, because he noticed that there was a girl standing not far from him. He calmly looked at her, then realized that her friend Zhou Yuyin was standing in front of her. But after that, Zhou Yuyin reminded Xiao Dagen of his family's 10,000 yuan debt. After his words, Xiao Dagen became angry and warned Zhou Yuyin that if she continued to insult her family, he would not guarantee that he would harm her. However, at some point Xiao Dagen noticed that he saw something that the ordinary one would not. Xiao Dagen realized that this supernatural power was given to him from that god before. Xiao Dagen carefully examined Zhou Yuyin. Dan looks at his body and realizes that he is being poisoned by some unknown poison. Then, Zhou Yuyin was flustered by the fact that Xiao Dagen was mocking her and started asking her what she was thinking. Then after that, Xiao Dagen started laughing at him, after telling him everything. He didn't believe Xiao Dagen's words because the qualified doctors at the hospital found nothing in his body. Then, Xiao Dagen saw the problem he had. However, after hearing Zhou Yuyin's clear indication of illness, he started to believe Xiao Dagen's words. Xiao Dagen quickly began to share what he knew. After learning that Zhou Yuyin might die, Zhou Yuyin began to agree with Xiao Dagen in every possible way to give him mercy, so that he helps him. After the words spoken to him, Xiao Dagen refused to help Zhou Yuyin, unless he knelt down and begged Xiao Dagen to help him. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuyin started to get very angry at Xiao Dagen for saying such hurtful words to her. But after a while he realized that he was in a difficult situation, on the verge between life and death. Zhou Yuyin was still kneeling and begging for mercy to be healed from the effects of the poison. Xiao Dagen saw that Zhou Yuyin was standing in a submissive pose and pitied him. Then after that, Xiao Dagen picked up some kind of lump from the ground which turned out to be chicken droppings. Afterwards, Xiao Dagen said that it would suppress the effects of the poison and guarantee Zhou Yuyin a restful sleep. Without any tricks, he didn't believe Xiao Dagen's words. He thought it was a lie. Then Zhou Yuyin became furious. But any fool would faint after eating it. But Xiao Dagen convinced Zhou Yuyin that actually chicken manure was needed not to neutralize the poison in the body, but to suppress its effects. Then Xiao Dagen explained that he didn't lose anything. Then after that, he also asked Zhou Yuyin for a total of 3,000 yuan. Then until the next day, if there is a positive effect, then he will help her again, after hearing the words spoken by Xiao Dagen. Zhou Yuyin had no choice but to agree. But after that, at the same time, a middle-aged man in work clothes and carrying tools was passing not far from them. Then Zhou Yuyin began to take the medicine given to Xiao Dagen from his hand, and Zhou Yuyin started eating it. Zhou Yuyin was clearly unhappy with what happened, and she definitely didn't like the taste of the poison suppressant in her body. Then, he chewed it for a long time, and before he could swallow it, he saw the same man in work clothes looking at Zhou Yuyin who was eating it. Then he started screaming throughout the forest that Zhou Yuyin ate chicken shit. Then after that, on the other hand, after hard work, Xiao Dagen was tired thinking about resting for a while and going to try out his newly acquired God-bestowed ability. After a while, Xiao Dagen started to reflect on the incident happily. That news had spread throughout the village. After throwing the working tool to the ground in his yard, Xiao Dagen started to spread his arms. Then the chickens around him started to see him. After preparing yourself carefully, Xiao Dagen began to test his abilities. Then with all his strength and fear, crushed all the chickens that surrounded him. Xiao Dagen raised the dust around him, seeing that he was creating a strong airflow. Disciple Wang noticed how all the plants not far from him were wilting. He thought that it was better not to use such power. Among those people he is aware of, he may inadvertently injure them. While sitting on the ground, Xiao Dagen began to reflect that he couldn't fully control his new skill. But after sitting like that for a while, Xiao Dagen regained his sight and sat in a more comfortable position. And he concentrated on the man, his eyes, and thought that he needed to remember the vision that came to him for the first time. Then as soon as possible to learn more information about his strength. A little more time passed, and now Xiao Dagen was sitting without being bothered by anything. And just think about the coming vision in the darkness. But after that, God Wang came. And so much red energy radiating, so it looks like a blazing fire. Then after that, the god told the man that he needed to absorb 10,000 poisons learned to control from all kinds of creatures. And then, he finally reached the highest level that ordinary people could only dream of becoming immortal. Wang Do added that there are 9 levels of purification. Xiao Dagen was shocked by what he heard, because he didn't think that it was necessary to learn so many levels of power. After carefully thinking about what and how to do it, Xiao Dagen at the same time decided to start training him to the next level. However, Xiao Dagen came out of his mind. When he opened his eyes, he saw that dawn had come and noticed that his power level had increased. The young disciple clearly saw that his strength had increased markedly. After the first exercise, make conclusions that this was Ming Kai's level. After a little more reflection, the man realized that Kai was actually from Wang, and it was a skill that allowed him to see all kinds of ailments through his eyes. He tested the skill on himself by looking at his hands. Then, Xiao Dagen concentrated and looked at the results. Everything looks clearer compared to yesterday's results. Then after that, he heard someone walking behind him. Xiao Dagen turned around and saw him walking towards him. After hearing pleasant words towards Xiao Dagen, was surprised and proud. Noticing that the medicine yesterday was working well, Zhou Yuyin thanked Xiao Dagen and said that all of her symptoms had disappeared. However, his answer did not please Zhou Yuyin very much, because chicken droppings only suppress the effects of the poison. He offers more money for his treatment, adding that his family is not in poverty, so that his personal doctor doesn't worry. Xiao Dagen said that once Zhou Yuyin transferred the money to his account, he would immediately start his treatment. Zhou Yuyin took turns reaching into her bag, and finally found a telephone transfer of 30,000 yuan, which obviously surprised Xiao Dagen, because he had never seen that much money before. Feel good about the fund. He received Xiao Dagen's points into his shack, and had Zhou Yuyin go over there to start the maintenance that was already in the hut. Xiao Dagen stopped him from taking off his clothes, because before the examination it is usually necessary to undress. Xiao Dagen, who was covering his face with his hands, told Zhou Yuyin to just close her eyes without opening them. Until the end of the session, he also extended his left hand forward, about her agreement with the man. Then after that, Zhou Yuyin took advantage of Wang Dou's level in Joyu. Xiao Dagen saw the poisonous worms on his body, therefore he is poison. In order to get rid of the parasite, Xiao Dagen decided to use the poison control art of the lowest stage. After touching the inflammatory agent, it eventually flares up. When the poison worm moved to the wrist, Xiao Dagen warned Zhou Yuyin that she might feel a bit more pain, so that he will be patient. After making a neat incision, Xiao Dagen removed the parasite from Zhou Yuyin's palm. At the end of the session, the patient opened his eyes, saw a poisonous worm in front of him, and screamed in disgust. Then after that, he immediately took out that disgusting worm. After that, however, the man started to explain to that person that the worms were the source of Zhou Yuyin's illness. After removing it, Xiao Dagen will get rid of the parasite. After a little reflection, the doctor came to the conclusion that the patient was naked, because only this type of worm lives. And also he asked where the wound was. After drawing conclusions, Xiao Dagen determined that Zhou Yuyin was there. Then after that, he considered an unusual option. Zhou Yuyin in turn started to deny everything, but accidentally let slip that he was there with her. Xiao Dagen called that a stupid girl, adding that the rumors turned out to be true. It turned out that the person didn't know about the rumors circulating among people. Xiao Dagen decided to tell him what everyone was saying behind his back. On this note, their dialogue stops. At Dr. Xiao Dagen, Dojang escorted Zhou Yuyin out of her hut, adding that he definitely had to go to the hospital for additional checks and put a bandage on Zhou Yuyin, then left Zhou Yuyin. He promised that he remembered Xiao Dagen's words, that she managed to get the truth from him about her adventures. After Zhou Yuyin's complete departure, he rejoiced at his earnings and decided that he would eventually earn more money for his next life and make her happy. Then all his relatives and people can also manage the whole village to improve the welfare of their family. Suddenly, looking at the ground, the excited Xiao Dagen quickly became shocked when he saw a gloomy aura deep in the ground. After what he saw, Xiao Dagen came to a conclusion that it was because of this prostitute that his chickens ended their lives badly. The man decided to check out the nearby mountains. Then after that, he turned around. Xiao Dagen stood in a stupor for a while. He saw that the two new mountains were more poisonous than their peaks. Around, Xiao Dagen decided to take a look at the mountain occupied by him. Zhubai approached him. Xiao Dagen was very surprised because the mountain looked like feng shui. After a bit of reflection, Xiao Dagen saw a poisonous insect on the ground, from which he came to a conclusion that he could breed poisonous creatures in this place. Replace the chicken to increase his minkai level. The art of controlling poison at its lowest stage, but realized that those on the mountain were only more poisonous creatures. Xiao Dagen thought about how to conquer this peak. Then after that, on the other side, in a village, seen two people walking together discussing paying debts. One of them said that Uncle Lu was the last to give all the sums. But then the same person noticed that he had completely forgotten about Uncle Ju's debt of 10,000. Before he could finish, the man interrupted. The man turned out to be Xiao Dagen. Soon we learn from their dialogue that these two are father and son. After calming his father down, the man said that he would solve everything himself and somehow able to earn the right amount of money. In conclusion, his father's son noted that it was getting dark and it was time to go home because Xiao Dagen's mother was waiting for them there. Gray, monotonous houses form a small village. There is a beautiful golden sunset in the background. In one of the houses, Xiao Dagen's entire family, including himself, is sitting at the table. They all eat dinner together at the family circle, simultaneously thanking the keeper of the hearth for preparing a wonderful dinner. After finishing, Xiao Dagen thanks his mother once again for his added delicious food that he had eaten heartily after doing all his after-dinner business. The man ran out of the house saying that he had gone to the poultry farm and that he would be back soon as an old man. In response, they wished him good luck, and he looked after himself on the farm, not because you never know what might happen. There the night passed, and soon morning came. Morning begins for Xiao Dagen at his hut in the forest. After a certain time, the rooster among the chickens starts to wake up everyone living near him. But at the same time, the door started knocking loudly in such a way that the door that closed the territory flew out with a bang, simultaneously frightening all living things. The poor birds scattered all over the yard were frightened by the surprise, and a loud noise enters the area we see clearly. A disgruntled man in a pink suit, with a certain folder he held in his hand, previously known as Asyu Xiangjiang. The richest man in the village had also become a curmudgeon and a vengeful man. At the same time, Xiao Dagen, who had not fully woken up, came to the noise that was clearly not expecting guests at such an early hour. But opened his eyes. The man was very surprised. Jubal Pai stood up as if nothing had happened before and shouted at Xiao Dagen above From the sound of her simultaneously shouting offensive words towards him, Xiao Dagen had no choice but to only listen to the words he heard addressed to her. Because he didn't expect this man to come to him at all with such obvious dissatisfaction, the man asked Shu Bapai about what he forgot here and what he needed from Xiao Dagen. The man replied that he had heard that Xiao Dagen had gone to another village to repay the debt, and asked Xiao Dagen about when he would repay the debt to the Zhu family. Then after that, Xiao Dagen was obviously not happy about this situation. He started to think more and more about why he had borrowed money from this heinous man. But Xiao Dagen had no choice but to say that he would soon pay off all debts, including this one. But at one point the man didn't like the man. The fact that Xiao Dagen was evasive kept saying that he would promptly and quickly repay the debt. Although he didn't do it himself, Jubapai also sent that person out of his shack, which made Xiao Dagen stand up in confusion. A moment later, Xiao Dagen asked Uncle Zhu why he was forced to take his things away from his farm. Because it turned out later that Xiao Dagen's father arranged with Uncle Zhu to take all the documents and rights to use the chicken farm on account to cover all the debts directed their way at this time. Xiao Dagen was overcome with anger, and he was furious that his poultry farm was sold for only 10,000 yuan, because that would not be able to cover even the cost of the land deal. Seo also couldn't believe a word Uncle Zhu, Xiao Dagen's father, did not discuss such an important matter with him. But at one point, they met the broken place of the door of Xiao Dagen's parents. But after that, Xiao Dagen's mother suddenly stopped talking while shouting at him. What did he forget here? The man was very surprised. But also happy that our parents came to him so early, Zubapai himself was also surprised, just not as happy as Xiao Dagen. Before he could take anything, the man asked Chang Zhu-Ying's mother, Xiao Dagen, why is he screaming so loudly? A little later, Shu claims that he agreed to use their poultry farming to forget what they owed him. But Dagen Xiao suddenly interrupted the man. However, he said it wasn't like that at all, because he said he would just trade the promissory note for land for something else. He also added that he was jealous that their poultry farm was profitable, and therefore he would take from the poultry farm for free. Uncle Zhu had a reason for this. He said he would give up all rights to set up new also in return for receipt. He would take the whole poultry farm for himself, hearing that Uncle Zhu also gave his burrow to the new one. Xiao Dagen was somewhat shocked by what he had heard that Mewtwo Mountain was much bigger than theirs with poultry farming, and therefore Xiao Dagen's family could multiply much bigger than they currently had. Also, Uncle Zhu noted that because of the big company and the great competition, he has been keeping the finished chicken farm for a long time, and in order not to waste any extra time, Xiao Dagen heard that Uncle Zhu would give them a new mountain to start with, to rejoice in his heart. However, as Shu for once came with good news to their farm, but everything depended on Zhang Zhu's sudden decision for everyone. Xiao Dagen stops them from arguing, just in case asking again if Uncle Zhu is really going to give an IOW in exchange for their farm hearing. That it was a case of the man agreeing to the man's terms, but only if he allowed him to sign the contract for both of Xiao Dagen Mountain's parents, who just heard that he agreed. Then after that, he was surprised that their son agreed to the terms of the mother's contract, first rejecting Chu's offer. But Sun quickly calms him down, saying that he can trust him, promising him that he won't let him down. Reassured, Zhang Zhi told him not to worry about his son's choice, as he looked quite confident than usual. After a brief disagreement, Zubapai immediately took out the contract from the folder for Xiao Dagen to sign it. Taking the securities, the protagonist read it carefully while wondering that Uncle Zhu was very ready to buy a poultry farm there. After reading the text, Xiao Dagen once again asked the man if he was lying, if it was true that he would give all the rights to the mountain. After signing the contract, Zubapai confirmed what he heard, adding that if Xiao Dagen can't pay the contract next week, he will take the contract back. The name itself from then on, the poultry farm, was fully owned by the family, and the buyer only needed to provide a point of interest. At the same time, unexpectedly for everyone, someone shouted something towards Xiao Dagen. Everyone in the yard looked back and saw a small group of people there, and after standing in front of everyone at the head, a young man immediately started, because he looked too confident for the new owner of the two new mountains to also notice that Xiao Dagen has a higher education, but he still obtained the rights to Mount Utsai. He laughed from here. We later found out that it was the same young man. This is the son of Zhubalpai, a lazy man. Lazy and just one of the main hooligans of Daeji village. He heard that it was going to get right to Newtown Mountain at the same time he started laughing with the man. Because there were a large number of poisonous insects on Dagen Mountain, and that in turn cheered him on. Because the mountain is yet to be fully explored, and there is likely a lot of unexplored treasure there. After hearing this, she starts laughing uncontrollably at him. After one made fun of the others, Shuyu decided to push Dagen as he employed agricultural specialists who carefully inspected the mountain, concluding that other than venomous snakes and insects, there was nothing of value there. Sai Odanjang, hearing such words, angered the Zhu family. Only can make fun of others who think they are the coolest in their village because of their connections and finances. Treasure for half an hour, everyone who came with him, including himself, started laughing out loud, for no one could safely set foot on the new city mountain. However, in the end, he decided to agree to Dagen's proposal, saying that if he finds at least something valuable, he will stand in a dog pose and defecate in front of everyone. But if Dagen failed to meet the treasure-finding requirements, then he himself would have to meet the aforementioned requirements. After a short conversation with his parents, Dagen still decided to teach Shuyu a lesson. The rich bully was waiting for Dagen's arrival without anything. Mount Barutao stepped to the foot of Mount Zile, laughing at him, because he still didn't know about his crushing defeat since the beginning of their dispute. After thinking about it, Dagen convinced himself that if it was not the power given by God to Wangdo, then in that place he could have noticed himself in the tree closest to the man. He saw a huge spider and then an escalopendra. Thinking that his wish of the much bigger snakes and insects on Mount Newtown had come true at the same time, he also remembered about the contract to own the mountain, and that the mountain was now his. Dagen used the power of 1,000 poisons, and at the same time with all his strength rushed towards the treasure, finding him running around the forest waterfall. Various impassable places at extreme speeds beyond the control of ordinary people. Dagen finally reached the designated place. Before Dagen, a dark cave appeared overgrown with long vines, and Moss entered the cave. The following image appeared before the joyful and joyful man: a dark cave, where there seems to be nothing but in fact an attractive flower with red petals, becomes a treasure trove of exclaims that this treasure is worth a lot of money. Dagen accidentally broke the roots of this plant is defended by facts that the price of ginseng has fallen sharply. Dagen also noticed that the color of the plant depended on the fact that it had been fueled by Newtown Mountain for many years, and in turn poisonous. But luckily, Dagen was able to use the inheritance he received from God Wang. Due to refining the ginseng at the same time, Dagen used one of his skills on the plant to eradicate the poison from it. After gathering its contents into the small ball, Dagen began to ponder whether to absorb poison to increase its abilities or not. However, realizing that he didn't have any more time, he waved his hand. So throw the ball against the wall while many people gather on the farm. Dagen to watch Zia's loser performance, but they didn't know yet that he would still be the winner at the same time. Chuyu decided to convince Dagen's parents by adding that he's not coming back, and if he did, it would be in his coffin for his funeral. However, Chuyukai didn't have to rejoice for long because Dagen was already standing behind him, taunting the arrogant youth. Seeing that Dagen had nothing in his hands, Shuyu immediately started mocking Dagen because he had not found the treasure. Dagen Donching decided this time to avoid ridicule from the family, because Zhuyu taunts and hates not only Dagen, but also his parents. At the same time, Dagen put his hand in his jacket pocket, and in awe took out the treasure he had found, raising it above him. Understand the incomprehensible. He asked Sai, or why he had to be a treasure, because in his eyes you have to be really stupid to buy this potion, for not having finished his speech to the end. His father's heavy fist was directed at Zhuyu, which caused the victim to fly away. A young man who didn't understand anything asked his father why did he hit him without giving a clear answer, sent his son home to make sure that the chicken had laid their eggs. Dagen stopped the man. Because his son did not fulfill the conditions of their contract, he confirmed Dagen's words. Because he had not seen Dagen behave like DOS, someone from the crowd in the background shouted that he had found a ginseng flower. At the same time, others shouted that Xiao Dagen's family would be enriched by selling plants. Hearing these words, he was very surprised, because this couldn't be happening since the experts Zhu hired told them that there is no treasure on the Nutu and that they can't lie to them. He kicked his son at the same time, sending all the experts to the crouching hell of his father. Shu Yu's furious kicks started screaming uncontrollably and writhing in pain. Xiao Dagen stopped Uncle Zhu because if he didn't stop, no one would point it out. Then after that, he stopped her and immediately turned to face Xiao Dagen and told him to give him a ginseng root, stating that he was the head of the village and he was obliged to give him the treasure he found, adding that Xiao Dagen dug it from the hills of the village and the ginseng, as the property of the whole village, stood up from the ground. He confirmed his father's words, but Xiao Dagen wasn't his fault either. He pointed to the contract in Zhu Babai's hand, which was written in black and white that the new Mountain Tao belonged entirely to men, including everything adjacent to it. After signing the papers, Zhu Baopai started to deny what he heard, because Xiao Dagen had not transferred the money for the contract to him. But Xiao Dagen replied that he had already signed a contract, and if Zhu didn't follow this, then the man would just sue the bottom. He obviously didn't like what he heard, because if Xiao Dagen really demands the bottom, then they will have trouble. After thinking about Xiao Dagen's words for a while, he offered the man 30,000 people so that he didn't have to look for a buyer now. Xiao Dagen was proud, because at this moment Uncle Zhu agreed that the treasure was not his, but for Xiao Dagen, who had completely surrendered to the man. He decides to give 30,000 at the same time, in addition in cash, adding that he will be able to sell the root only for this price, and that there will be no one who can be as generous as him. But Xiao Dagen rejects the offer because not everyone is that stupid. Xiao Dagen watched him become furious, but he still had to agree with Xiao Dagen, turned around and started to leave with his son, when suddenly Xiao Dagen took his shoulder and thus stopped him, adding that his rival did not fulfill the terms of the contract. They want to get away with it. She takes Xiao Dagen's hands off of her, adding that she doesn't know anything about their contract. Luckily, Xiao Dagen was ready for the answer given above. He used his powers, and seeing what was under the clothes, smirked at him. Xiao Dagen threatens the man that he will tell everyone what is under the clothes, from which he is horrified that no one knows about it. Then after that, Xiao Dagen said what was really on his mind at the moment against the red belt and black tights. He obviously didn't like what he heard. He was overcome with panic, as thousands of punches passed through him all over his body. He stopped asking when he saw Xiao Dagen talking to his son. Xiao Dagen also threatened his opponent that he would take off his clothes. If he will not fulfill all the mandatory requirements, then realize it, he will have a hard time, especially if his father finds out he was arrested. Then, after that, with even greater panic, he was thrown into intense sweat. His whole body trembled. His knees were clenched because if someone found out, he wouldn't just be a laughingstock, he would be a realized scumbag of society. That nothing good will happen to him since Shadow's Juyu Kai has finally decided to make his move. Poses and starts urinating in front of everyone like an animal. After listening to Xiao Dagen's orders, he started barking like a dog so that those around the team would understand who he was. When people saw and heard the man's actions, they started laughing wildly at him, saying that he has gone mad and exclaiming that children always take an example from your parents. The father, seeing what was happening, became much more angry than before. He screams loudly at you that he has disgraced their family and starts beating his son harder and harder. So he won't do this again. In conclusion, he ran away from his father with all his might, while running screaming at him while beating him. But after that, in a big house in the middle of the forest, something terrible was happening. There was the sound of a whip, and the unpleasant words of a fat, bearded man in a white t-shirt with a funny print in the shape of a blue rooster, and in pink trousers cursed loudly at his son, who covered his face with his hands and sobbed bitterly. He said that his sister ate chicken droppings because of Xiao Dagen, and he got nothing for it. The man became increasingly angry because he had raised narrow-minded children. But suddenly Zheng Xiangzhou and Child were interrupted by a slender woman in dark clothing and golden robes, with bones on a head of black hair. She loudly asked what was going on here, and sent his son to look for Xiao Dagen. The man, who was tired enough of the stormy bickering, was glad of his arrival, and the man looked at his wife incomprehensibly. The woman said through her teeth that no one dared to offend her children by sullenly threatening her husband, was immediately furious that this bastard had brought them so much trouble. So they have to deal with it now. He was about to leave the house when the woman stopped him. It's no good for him to make too much noise before getting rid of him. You first have to take the money. Woman. She started reasoning that when she went to the city to root for her older brother, who held a high position in the city, and will deal with it soon. Then after that, his son, he told him to go to his uncle, so that he would find some lackeys and they would intercept a man in town and make sure that he gave them all his money. He wanted his brother to squeeze every penny out of Xiao Dagen, and Kai shared everything with Uncle Yukai, instantly beaming with joy. Juyu immediately thanked her mother in a sad voice, and Juba began to praise her for her sharp mind. But after that, to become his wife, she immediately ran to her uncle. In the village of Xiao Dagen's parents, Xiao Dagen stood in front of the table holding a clean plate in front of him, simultaneously talking to his mother. After saying that he was all when he did, he added that he wanted to go to the new mountain too to find out what else he would do. Hearing this, the mother told her son that he was there in the morning and it was very dangerous there. Xiao Dagen in turn answered his mother that the last time he went there he was in a hurry, and therefore he had to go back there again to decide what to do next with this mountain. After finishing the housework, Xiao Dagen was about to go out, when his mother shouted at him to be careful there, and at the same time I asked him when he would go sell ginseng for a while. Then Xiao Dagen shouted back that he would definitely be careful, and the next day he would go to sell the plant, probably making about 100,000. The human saw her son running away. Zhang Zhuying was happy with her son, because he grew up right before her eyes, and continues to surprise her to this day. After reaching the Newtown Mountain, Xiao Dagen was horrified to find a small number of people digging in front of him. Xiao Dagen didn't understand why everyone standing in front of him had to be here, since there were many poisonous insects and snakes on the mountain. Why they risked their lives so much. But at the same time, Xiao Dagen noticed a young girl in denim shorts and a pink hoodie among the crowd. However, it seemed like he was worried about something and was talking to someone about it. It turned out that this girl clearly liked a psycho donjiang named Qiuxia. It turned out that later Zhou Yuyin had a dialogue with a woman who asked Kuxia why she was covering up for Xiao Dagen. Because he had no one but Zhou Yuyin turned out to have a good heart. Because he said that according to the contract, the mountain belonged to Danzhen's family and that they had no right to dig up their property. After not listening to the end, the angry woman interrupted Qiuxia by saying that it was not hers. Then after that, business and he had better get out of here sometime later. Xiao Dagen approached the two of them and stopped everyone from working. Xiao Dagen just wanted to say that all of them were not welcome here, because he was immediately interrupted saying that they had all just decided to help him loosen the soil. And now knowing this, Xiao Dagen had to be much more polite to them. The man clearly didn't like the behavior of his fellow villagers. However, since there was no limit to their arrogance, they thought they could dig up the ginseng here and make money from its selling without making a loss from it. But if they continue with the same spirit, then everyone will soon die here because the poison is so much. So the blame would fall on Xiao Dagen. How could he act in this situation? Xiao Dagen still decided to warn the people that they were in great danger because the mountain was not only full of poisonous substances, but also smoke, but they don't believe it. Besides, they decide that Xiao Dagen is just bullying them. The woman who talked to Qiuxia at the beginning of the conflict started to chase after Xiao Dagen, angrily added various statements to humiliate the young man. The people around them completely agreed with the woman who justified her words. Said that although his family had returned all the money to the villagers, they still owed them money. Then what did he hear, because he had nothing to answer but immediately went to save Xiao Dagen. He stopped everyone in the neighborhood, thereby protecting Xiao Dagen from imminent defeat. Fellow male villagers began to rudely insult Zhou Yuyin, telling him all kinds of insults. Then, at the same time, Xiao Dagen interrupted the vile ants who defended Kuxia in return. He threatened the woman, saying that at her age it was unusual to start such a conflict. But she in turn continued to behave more than before. She came so close to Tsuziya that she was scared and trembling with fear, the woman clarified that Zhou Yuyin was defending Xiao Dagen. Just because he was afraid to stay in the girl, Zhou Yuyin was afraid of not finding anyone for himself. But Xiao Dagen at the same time grabbed the insolent woman's hand and said that he had no right to touch her, with his dirty hands squeezing the woman's wrist harder and harder, which became even more painful for her. At that moment, a scream came from somewhere behind them, that Qiuxia, something had happened to him. The man was horrified just seeing Zhou Yuyin. She was lying on the ground leaning against a rock and screaming. Because of the pain in his leg, something had bitten him. Xiao Dagen immediately looked at the victim's leg and saw a large bite wound there, quickly drawing conclusions. Xiao Dagen realized that he was poisoned by the scorpion venom of one of the inheritances. But the villagers didn't believe it was Zhou Yuyin's act, deciding that it was all a show for them all to go along with. As soon as Xiao Dagen came, Zhou Yuyin was immediately bitten by someone from the crowd, confirming these words. Hearing the words above, Xiao Dagen became angry and no longer worried about the lives of his fellow villagers. However, just thinking about Zhou Yuyin's youth immediately interrupted the man, saying that he was starting to feel dizzy. Xiao Dagen suddenly turned away from the crowd and turned to face Zhou Yuyin. He said that he would somehow find a way to cure it after carefully looking at it closely. Xiao Dagen realized that everything was bad, because Zhou Yuyin was really injured by the poison. Scorpion Manhwa Xiao Dagen. I concluded that if the poison spread throughout Zhou Yuyin's body, and the outline of a plum blossom appeared then, and then turned red, there would be no one to help Zhou Yuyin use her power. Xiao Dagen checked the scene of Zhou Yuyin's defeat and realized that everything was still not that critical because the poison didn't have time to reach his heart. But a woman from the crowd suddenly confused Xiao Dagen's mind because she saw something not far from them. Everyone suddenly turned around and saw the same scarlet scorpion that injured Kusia. What he saw scared all the villagers, forcing them to flee the scene. However, out of fear, Xiao Dagen and Kusia were left alone. Xiao Dagen saw the same insect gather energy and shoot it at the poisonous creature, warning Zhou Yuyin to be patient. Xiao Dagen told him that he needed it to suck the poison out of his body. Zhou Yuyin looked at the man questioningly, but at the same time stopped him, deciding that it might kill him. Then after that, Xiao Dagen assured him that he wasn't afraid of any poison, and that he wouldn't get anything from it. Qiuxia's very touching moment showed that Xiao Dagen took her leg without her permission, which made the man very embarrassed, because he was surprised, but then apologized and warned that he would start treatment, now biting his lip to where the young man's defeat was starting to act. Then during this process, Zhou Yuyin remembered that after the death of her parents, since then, no one had stood up for her, and no one would offer her help. After a while, Xiao Dagen finished his work, noting that there was no more poison in his body. Zhou Yuyin answered the man that he was fine, but he was so tired the man told him that this was a normal reaction of the body because a lot of its energy was spent just fighting the poison. But after a while, Xiao Dagen saw that Zhou Yuyin had fallen asleep carrying him sever dungeon, that he needed to quickly become rich and win over Zhou Yuyin. Then after that, it walked away. On the way, he saw a beautiful sunset. Xiao Dagen had fun while enjoying it as he rode along the road on his bicycle, sang a song while placing his hand on his chest. Xiao Dagen was waiting, and couldn't wait to sell ginseng at a good price. 2 hours later, Xiao Dagen was standing in front of the medicine pharmacy. Yesterday, the man searched for a good pharmacy on the internet and came across Big Pharmacy. The biggest pharmacy in the district is also the biggest medicine collection and selling place in all the district. Xiao Dagen went to Xiao Dagen's pharmacy to approach Dr. Shen Jinbing and told him that Xiao Dagen had very precious plants, and it was therefore possible for them to go somewhere remote. Then, after hearing the man's words, the doctor was shocked, because from the outside the young man looked so poor. And how could he have a worthwhile healing plan? After finishing his thoughts, Shenjin looked around and told Xiao Dagen to follow him. When he reached a hidden corner, Xiao Dagen asked the doctor if it was to open the place. The curious man asked him to show faster, that he needed what the man brought so he wouldn't waste his time. Xiao Dagen at the same time he reached into his pocket and took out the ginseng. The doctor saw the precious plant, immediately took the ginseng from the man for a more thorough examination. he started to ask Xiao Dagen more about where and when he found it. Xiao Dagen told him that he had found a root in the mountain yesterday, and how much it could sell. For the doctor, hearing the words, Xiao Dagen immediately thought that the man was a redneck and knew nothing about plants. He assumed Shenzhen decided to trick the man by saying that he was very lucky, but he damaged the lobes of the root, and therefore the price of ginseng plummeted. Chief Xiao Dagen, because over the years this ginseng, the price mentioned above, is too low. The cunning man warns the man that no one else will pay him, and if he does, then a maximum of 10,000 is the final price. The doctor decides that he was a stupid country boy with his help. He could be rich and go far from this place. Xiao Dagen squirts from hearing and demands to return the treasure he found. Nothing, in other words, Xiao Dagen will get nothing, no money, no benefits. Xiao Dagen was very angry, and the doctor saw the man's condition, immediately decided to immediately get away from him and called security to help him. But after that, Xiao Dagen immediately reacted to Shenzhen Bing's action because he wanted to deceive the man. But the security was quick. He ran to Xiao Dagen, thereby preventing him from catching the imposter. But after running his hand through the crowd, Xiao Dagen still manages to catch the imposter with a rope. The guards immediately surrounded him to warn the man that if he didn't let the doctor go, he would have a lot of trouble with them. But Xiao Dagen suddenly grabbed his ginseng from Shenzhen and threw the doctor on the floor. One of the guards shouted that Xiao Dagen had attacked a man, and everyone they stopped him immediately. The experts around confirmed the above words. Then after that, one of the guards swung a staff at the man from behind. But Xiao Dagen reacted quickly and avoided the attack before Xiao Dagen Doncheng didn't have a chance to try his strength, and therefore he decided to test his skills on those swinging guards again. But Xiao Dagen dodged again. But this time she had answered the man in kind. He swung and hit the guard at the point of pain, causing him to writhe in pain and fall to the floor. Seeing that their commander is defeating the other guards, decide to attack Xiao Dagen together. But the man also didn't miss out. He managed to dodge every blow aimed at him, defeating all his opponents. He also grabbed the leg of one of them and started spinning it around himself, thus creating a whirlwind of people, scattering everyone in all directions. After finishing the fight, Xiao Dagen picked up Dr. Shen from the floor and asked the old man about how he dared to trick the man who took out a black shiny ball from his chest. Xiao Dagen decides to feed him to this cheater. It turns out later that the ball he gave the doctor was one of the poison pills that Seo made in her spare time. Irresistible desire, his whole body itched happy with the effect. Xiao Dagen said that he called this pill 10,000 insect bites. Adding that the name spoke for itself, scratched his whole face. The lying doctor started to beg Xiao Dagen to give him the medicine that promised never to deceive others. The doctor is damned. So he started apologizing to Xiao Dagen, thus loudly in front of everyone, shouting that he had tried in vain to adapt the ginseng that the man found. However, Xiao Dagen is on the other hand a bad person who attacks their co-workers. Zeal laughs at Dr. Shen, saying that there is no cure for the pills. But at this time, a bearded man came to the main hall with a shiny ornament around his neck. The employees saw their boss immediately startled, as well as the unsuspecting Xiao Dagen clearly dissatisfied. The boss didn't like the pharmacy guard lying on the floor, but he immediately asked what was going on here. They all got up from the floor, and one of them went to his boss and said that the guy in the tracksuit had organized the pharmacy, a bit of hype, beating up the doctor and guards. But it turns out later that the doctor working the shift is a brash con man, who in turn is trying to take the ginseng for himself. The owner of the great medicine dispensary immediately reacted, adding that if the people in the district found out, then the bad rumors about the dispensary would be dispelled, which could damage the institution's reputation. But after that, at the same time, this small business pharmacy owner started asking about Dr. Shen, who he was, and why he did what he did. One of the employees nearby said that Dr. Shen was a doctor who came from a nearby village to earn money, and this is his first day on the job. The man immediately started asking the staff about the doctor's whereabouts now to question him. But the employee immediately exclaimed that he had fled to the nearest hospital. The boss immediately gave orders to the guards to find the imposter Brazen and take him back to the pharmacy, but in the meantime the boss will try to negotiate with Xiao Dagen. After a while, the man apologized for the inconvenience caused by the doctor, promised that this won't happen again in the future. Xiao Dagen said that the man didn't need to apologize, because it wasn't his fault, to add that he didn't want to start a new conflict just with the pharmacy director. After saying the above words, Xiao Dagen turned around and had already started to leave when the owner of the company stopped him to look at the ginseng that the young man who had brought said that if the conditions of the plants were really good, then he would pay generously for them. The man decided to agree, and they went to the office together. The head was already sitting at the table. The man managed to brew a cup of tea for him, Xiao Dagen, and started inspecting the ginseng roots carefully. Under the magnifying glass, Xiao Dagen decided to warn him beforehand that he would not sell it for 30,000, and if he offered this amount, then they would have nothing more to talk about. Hearing the price mentioned by the young man really surprised him. Since his roots really weren't worth the money, the director immediately reassured the wary Dagen Xiao Dagen that he had nothing to worry about, and that he conducts his business honestly without leaving his customers with doubts and doubts. Xiao Dagen risked adding that if this was the case, then he should have seen that the plant wasn't even 100 years old, and that he should know the true price. After completing a thorough inspection of the goods, the man offered 200,000 yuan. After hearing Xiao Dagen's final price, he was so shocked that sweat was pouring down his forehead, because he had never seen that kind of money lying. The man eases the man's suffering by the fact that the price may be slightly understated, because the broken lobe of the route says that 200,000 is the current limit. Xiao Dagen agreed with the buyer, and agreed to 200,000 yuan in one payment. Then after that, they immediately exchanged numbers to transfer funds to the electronic wallet. Seeing the payment complete, Xiao Dagen swallowed his saliva, because there is now so much money in his account. But the man is suddenly interrupted by the doctor, who bravely bursts into the office screaming that a terrible disaster had occurred. The director immediately got up from his chair and began to ask the doctor about what happened there. But after that, the doctor, who was panting, answered that it was better for the boss to see everything with his own eyes, because something happened to a man wearing glasses and a white medical coat entering the office that was clearly visible to him, that he was in such a hurry that he fell from his feet from running. Then Xiao Dagen and the second man in the suit turned to him worriedly. Then he asked what made him rush. The young man said that someone claimed that his daughter had gone crazy because of drugs. Angry bearded man capable of speaking such nonsense. He demands to be brought immediately. The three of them go to the corridor, hearing the girl scream. The girl's high-pitched voice sounded whiny, as if she was throwing a tantrum. Xiao Dagen. The two men peeked from the corner, watching as the girl, surrounded by paramedics, hugged a trash can, asked, "Why doesn't his mom take him with him and says she misses him so much?" They try to calm her down, but he didn't react to anyone. A man in a suit with black hair and a mustache angrily and anxiously speaks to Boss Wang, saying that this started happening to his daughter after taking medicine bought from him at the pharmacy. Then the girl was still crying hard, hugging it more and more, and called her mother Wang, frantically carrying her regrets about Master Zhang's daughter's condition, and asked permission so he could examine it. She sits next to him, carefully takes his pulse on his arm, and explains that the reason for her condition is not in the medicines bought at her pharmacy. Zhou Yuyan's father heard the words above, grabbed the director by the collar, and violently started yelling at him, adding that people would do anything to escape the responsibility that was increasingly threatening pharmacy owners at the time. As the sick girl fell to the floor, where Xiao Dagen reacted quickly and didn't let him touch the floor, saying that might faint. Then Xiao Dagen immediately noticed the small tumor on the girl's back, that he was bitten by a polar black widow. The man screamed that he was under the influence of poison and that he should not be helped immediately. Otherwise, he would not be without fatal result. The young man said that he should be given a separate room so he could start treatment. Then the girl's father asked, "Xiao Dagen, how did he gain such trust?" Everyone, including the director and the girl's father, started to doubt the man's strength. Because even the pharmacy owner couldn't recognize the girl's illness, the man asked Xiao Dagen to stay away from his daughter. However, Xiao Dagen told him that he would not leave, or else Zhou Yuyan would die. Naimi's father ordered one of the guards called Ifu to deal with the man. He took Xiao Dagen's shoulder and said he had to let the girl go, otherwise it will hurt him. But Xiao Dagen reacted quickly and took the man's hand, threw him over the top, Himself, everyone around him must not have expected such a change, as he looked a very strong and muscular man. Then after that, the pharmacy owner asked Xiao Dagen not to make more trouble adding to the treatment of this type of disease. Is no joke, especially since he can only make things worse. Xiao Dagen replied to the man that he felt he had to save him. Otherwise they would not escape from her death, the girl's father said. That the man must bear a great responsibility. But Xiao Dagen interrupted the man, worried about his child, asking if they had gray-white spiders in the man's house, hearing the man's words, and was shocked. Because they really have prophets like that at home. Then he noted that this spider very rarely appears in places with cold climates. He noted that few people survive the bites of these insects. After these words, Xiao Dagen immediately touched the girl's defeat spot and took out a thin silver thread along with a spider. Then after that, the people from the crowd who saw the bug immediately exclaimed. That man was right. Xiao Dagen started to say that after the bite of the black widow pole, symptoms such as fever, excessive sweating, and hallucinations started and eventually lost consciousness. And someone's death. The man adds that an ordinary person cannot heal a girl, but at the same time he is interrupted by the girl's father, who swings the spider with his hand and throws it from Xiao Dagen's hand. Then the man threw the bug on the floor, screaming that this creature cannot be kept in the man's house. Suddenly pushes him away, saying that the thread should not break. Because after a bite, the black widow connects itself and the victim with a spider thread that cannot be broken, otherwise the poison will disappear. After that, the victim could die. What he heard horrified the man. Asked at the same time, Xiao Dagen had helped the man to tell the director that she would need a separate room and a silver needle. The girl's father ordered his bodyguards to eat food to go look for silver needles. The guards immediately ran for the needles, and the rest went to the remote room for the director's surgery to unbutton his blouse, so that he would not interfere with the treatment, while the grieving father watches this standing before them. After a short time, the man finally handed over a pack of needles, which he effectively unwrapped on the weight, from which everyone in the room was amazed by what they saw. After taking out all the needles, Xiao Dagen directly stuck them into Zhou Yuyin's back after performing acupuncture. The guy used his superpower, which the director was so surprised that he didn't even do it. Realized that Xiao Dagen had internal Kai acupuncture technique. When he realized himself, the head of the pharmacy told his father to look at his skin. Finally, the young doctor examines the patient's body and confidently concludes that he was really cured. His father immediately approached him, asking if he was okay. The savior begins to contemplate that last time he saved her, and this time he helped this young girl, adding that he will soon master all 10,000 poison techniques. Then after that, he asked himself if he needed to use poison himself to strengthen his skill. Came to his senses, probably saw Xiao Dagen in front of him, from which he immediately blushed and smacked his savior's face. He said that he was a pervert. Zhou Yuyin's father began to calm him down because Xiao Dagen was his savior. But after that, he asked her to apologize to Xiao Dagen, and the impudent girl shouted at her father. Because Xiao Dagen stripped him naked, and he still needed to apologize to him. Xiao Dagen snapped at the girl from what he heard, said that he did not even expect gratitude from her. But such an attitude towards his own father was inexcusable. Then after that, the girl was angrier at Xiao Dagen than before, and shouted at him that he did not ask to save him, and it would be better if he died with dignity without letting anyone touch him. The man went into a beast rage, and clearly wanted to punch Zhou Yuyin for his words, but the apothecary director stopped him, telling him to calm down, and that it was none of their business anymore. After settling the disagreement, the man asked to follow him, so that he will give them medicines for prevention. Then finally, after leaving the office, people gathered around admiring what they saw. As the girl stood on her feet fully recovered, the impression came to everyone from the crowd. Because Xiao Dagen, the patient, really managed to help, but he never thanked his savior for his care. He just walked past people without showing a single drop of joy on his face. Then the father did not like his daughter. He stopped in front of the man, saying that his son had a naturally stubborn character. So he apologized for all the trouble caused to Xiao Dagen and thanked him for his help and rescue. The girl at the end of the man's short dialogue gave Xiao Dagen his business card and also asked where Xiao Dagen came from. Then the man gave his name, adding that he was from Daji village, leaving the father once again apologizing and saying that at the next meeting, he would definitely take his daughter with him, so that he would express his gratitude to him. After he finished, the man chased after his son, and the owner of the great medicine pharmacy approached Xiao Dagen, said that if he did not come to the rescue, then with the good reputation of the institution, it would be possible to say goodbye. Wanted to thank the young man. Somehow the man offered the man to eat. But Xiao Dagen said that it was time for him to go, and at the next meeting, he will gladly accept his gratitude in front of him. At the end, adding that he had to leave now following the man away on his bicycle, the pharmacy director shouted that if Xiao Dagen had any problems, he could safely ask for his help. Having traveled quite a distance, Xiao Dagen received a notification on his phone about receiving a transfer in the form of 50,000 to his personal account. Then after that, from that test, relieved, the man raised his hand and exclaimed that he had worked hard and received his hard-earned money. But at one point Xiao Dagen was driving past one of the alleyways and noticed a large crowd of people and their words that someone was being beaten there. A voice also followed from there saying that charity cannot be replaced with tears. A moment later, Xiao Dagen recognized this voice. The crowd pushed against the assembled onlookers, while the pink-haired Zhou Yuyin shouted loudly and told someone to calm down, and raised the public humiliation revealed in front of the guy whose star was a girl who liked the guy. There was a broken phone lying on the road, and from Xiu's scream, it could be understood that it was his. On the asphalt in front of him sat a blonde girl who was crying and had bruises on her face from Zhou Yuyin's punch, trying to justify himself because he really accidentally broke the phone of a grumpy person. But he didn't seem to want to hear it, hysterically wiping him off with his jacket, lifting him to his face level, continuing to scream. The girl had to get her money back for the broken things, and that she wasn't going to get off that easily. Then he didn't notice that Xiao Dagen was already familiar with him, in the crowd, who loudly shouted that he was releasing, and not even touching the quercusia again. For a moment, everyone froze, glaring at the man he immediately let go. Girls covering paralyzed girls suffering from screams. His old acquaintance stood silently beside him. Xiao Dagen arrives, he told the rude woman to leave. After confirming that Chosia, everything is fine with Chosia, Xiao Dagen finally drew attention to the wound. His cheeks immediately became angry. He turned his head and asked what he and his lackeys were doing. Why Xiao Dagen meddles in his own business. In his mind, convinced himself that because of the disease has passed. Then he couldn't be afraid of the man. He decided to place pressure on him by saying that he is pathetic. Because Xiao Dagen, after university, he couldn't find a job and returned to the village to raise chickens. And now that he thinks of himself as Xiao Dagen, what a joke. Amidst the crowd gathered around the words started, he smirked, adding that the idiot in front of him had broken his phone. And is she bad for wanting to take money from him for trespassing? Xiao Dagen gritted his teeth, saying that if Zhou Yuyin wanted to feel the unbearable itch caused by his illness again, then she could arrange it again. Zhou Yuyin immediately became flustered, showing it with all her looks. Then he threatened the man with his father's anger. But it didn't work on Xiao Dagen. He had his trump card up his sleeve for such a case, considering how he ate chicken poop and how his brother was a dog. Xiao Dagen asked if he really should be afraid of his father's anger, or if he should be afraid at him. The man changed his expression to cough and smoothly moved closer to the point he asked me to tell you about. He charges the phone so he himself pays for the damages, hearing the man's words trying to stop him. Then after that, by saying that he shouldn't do it. But he assured her that everything was fine. She decided that the dojang just wanted to show off. In front of a girl he shouted that his phone was of limited edition and therefore Xiao Dagen owed him 18,000 humans, whether he could afford such extravagance. But Kusia, looking at him in astonishment, denied it because she saw with her own eyes such a telephone cost only 4,000. The man asked again, as if with a mockery, how much his friend cost. He assured that the phone was worth 18,000, said that if they didn't believe him, they can safely leave. Then he asked the shop owner for the original amount, which Xiao Dagen agreed to, and only transferred the money to him. The girl, who didn't expect this, was stunned. The man didn't even blink an eye when he mentioned the amount. Zhou Yuyin smiled in satisfaction because the damage had been compensated. Then there was no reason for him to stay here. The young man called out to him, telling him to stop his insults, Because it's not just about the phone now, it is necessary to calculate how much he owes her now. He was shocked because Zhou Yuyin had taken pity on them. How dare they? Then tell him about it. The guy explained that the call fee was paid and no problem with that. But he has hurt Kusia, so she has to reimburse the medical expenses. The smirking man mentions the number 1,800,000 people who have not dispersed is a surprise robbery. In broad daylight, some of the Shu students also didn't stay away screaming. That Xiao Dagen had gone crazy. After all, he had hit Zhou Yuyin only a few times, and thus why didn't the man take it upon himself? With a flick of her hair, she turned angrily and left through the crowd. People pushed everyone in a row where Xiao Dagen smirked, said that if he doesn't give her the money, then she won't expect him to think that the silver needle was finally of use to him. He immediately used his strength, from which he gave up. Due to the pain in his leg, he fell to the ground. The people around immediately exclaimed that Zhou Yuyin was expected to fall on her knees. Then his legs wouldn't obey him, and he immediately realized that it was Xiao Dagen's fault. After asking the man about what he did to her, Zhou Yuyin only heard that with the help of a needle. The young man blocked the nerve endings of his lower extremities. The stupid girl heard Xiao Dagen's words and immediately started pulling out the needles with her own hands. But he was quickly stopped by her and said that the needle should not be removed. But if not, he risks losing his legs forever. But if he followed the young man's instructions, then he would remove the needle without the consequence of him being arrested. Scared, and at the same time he started begging for forgiveness and for Xiao Dagen to let him go. The man says he can let go any time, but it would be unfair to Kusia if she doesn't answer for what she has done to her. Then after that, the impudent girl clearly didn't like what she heard, and she gripped Xiao Dagen's jacket tighter, which made him react. The injured girl came to the main. She told Xiao Dagen that everything was fine, adding that he should not be forced to apologize to her. The man replies Kusia, noting he is a good person. But Zhou Yuyin was an ugly snake who sought only one benefit everywhere and from everyone, and therefore she had to be taught a lesson. Finally, after finishing, Xiao Dagen turns to Union, saying that Qiuxia can't hit him and therefore he will do it himself. But after that, he wanted to say something to the man. But he only heard that it would be better for him to hurry because the needle had to be removed quickly. Hearing the words above, he snapped and looked at the ground, lifting it up. Hands prepared for the blow, he swung with all his might and hit himself in the cheeks. He added that Zhou Yuyin also apologized at the same time as Zhou Yuyin dutifully obeyed Xiao Dagen's orders, then barely apologized to Cute. The man ordered Zhou Yuyin to hit herself harder and faster so that she wouldn't stop. She obediently listened to the young man and started screaming that he is worse than an animal and that it is useless for him to start begging. He is for his forgiveness, however, so that he would show mercy to her. Forgive him, Zhou Yuyin, for whose shoes are you sorry? Qiuxia told Xiao Dagen to finish this performance. Zhou Yuyin finished beating herself and removed her bruised hand, showing swelling from no less beating. Xiao Dagen's face told Zhou Yuyin that they were done with this. But the bad thing is that man taught her manners, not her father. He said in a long and deep voice that she had done everything he had told her to do. When he was no longer angry with her, he asked her to restore sensitivity to his feet. But Xiao Dagen had just started, went to take Qiuxia with him, as if he didn't notice that you had asked him, from which both Zhou Yuyin were shocked. But Qiuxia still stopped the man from asking her about this leg of Zhou Yuyin, confirmed by himself, noting that Xiao Dagen had forgotten him. The man stopped and thought a bit about the answer Zhou Yuyin said, that she had lied to him because she didn't really need his help. And he himself has the right to pull this needle out of his leg. Zhou Yuyin obviously didn't like what she heard, and she wanted to yell at Xiao Dagen to insult her again. However, he suddenly had a stream of blood coming from his nose, and finally lost consciousness out of the alley. Qiuxia asked Xiao Dagen about how he managed to immobilize the leg. The man answered with the back of his hand that he was studying medicine at university, saying that he closed the acupuncture points. But to open it, he only needed to pull out the needle. The rescue girl admired this and thanked Xiao Dagen for saving him, adding that he would definitely return the money Xiao Dagen spent on his rescue. Xiao Dagen stopped him from saying that on the same day he sold ginseng, and that he had enough money right now so he doesn't have to worry about a refund. Then after that, he changed the subject to ask Zhou Yuyin. Why is he in town? He replies that he needs to fix his phone. but unfortunately before she met him. Xiao Dagen said that he also urgently needed to buy a new phone, pointing to the shop just behind him. He suddenly grabbed her hand and took her to the shop to shop from where he was a bit lost. Not understanding the whole situation, after a while thinking the man had finally brought Chioxia with him to the shop. Then after that, a man in a striped suit was seen lighting a cigarette. A few moments later they found out that it is not the first time he has smoked today. A few moments later we saw a familiar face, Zhubai's son, and a few other people around the car right in the middle of the road. Then he said, his sister called him recently. He came in to tell him that Xiao Dagen was back and would soon find their group. The man from the man's side told him not to worry. He assured her that once they saw Xiao Dagen, they would immediately attack him. At the same time, the man became very angry because many mosquitoes were flying over him. He caught one of them and left. However, only drops of blood between his fingers. He started cursing Xiao Dagen for his only fault, that they stand here and feed all the mosquitoes to you. He assured his allies, added immediately, once Xiao Dagen arrived, they would attack him with the whole crowd. Thus, Xiao Dagen will answer to them for all the troubles caused by their family. He said that his mother gave them clear instructions, that they should follow it. After the words of this man, he pointed at the steel staff, thereby confirming his words, that they heard not far from them. It was a young man running towards them. One of their allies, he shouted, that he saw Xiao Dagen heading towards them. Meaning he was not far from hearing these words, he bowed down. He threw away his cigarette, and called his brother would come out in front of them, simultaneously took out his gun from behind his back. At the same time, Xiao Dagen rode his bicycle together with Chioxia. Then he sang to himself. How happy he was. But the man's mind was confused by the unexpected encounter. In front of them was a group of 5 people with steel bats led by him and his uncle. Xiao Dagen quickly reacted. Stopped abruptly in front of them, he starts a conversation with the man saying that Danjing is Xiao Dagen. The great village asks if he sells ginseng, thus saying that the plant was not his. But for Xiao Dagen, she confirmed the man's words, also asked in response that his sister Zhou Yuyin had told him this information. Xiao Dagen immediately started shining in reply, saying that your income from the sale of 250,000 yuan ginseng. And he noted that the plant was his not, and it would be better for him to start transferring all his money from his personal money to his account. However, it was in a good way, otherwise the gang would have nothing left but to ensure that Xiao Dagen does not return home. And if he did, it was already in the wooden box. Chioxia saw that the bandit with the steel baseball bat was very frightened, but he immediately calmed him down by saying that everything will be fine, and he will overcome them because they are much weaker than himself. After hearing Xiao Dagen's evasive words, he told the man that the person who last said those same words was now in the hospital. After that, Chioxia prepared a phone warning the bandits not to threaten them, otherwise she would record everything on the dictaphone and send it to the police. Zhou Yuyin's reaction was happy about Su, and she said that no one should touch her so she could be alone with her. But Chioxia didn't like her saying that their entire gang disgusted him, adding that sooner or later they would get what they deserve from the words he told him, hurt bounce you. And she was furious with him, saying that he thought too highly of himself. If he dared to call them disgusting, after saying that the man was spitting at the girl who soiled his hood, at the same time Xiao Dagen was defending her, and at the same time he was swinging with all his might against her with his fist, and directly hit his face right in the face. Then the impudent guy flew up to the car, saw how their boss flew in and knocked him out with one punch. Then after that the bandits were shocked. But before they knew it, their leader had completely destroyed the back of the minibus, so that parts and glass flew in all directions of the eye, as well as the rest of the group. It wasn't that he was surprised, he was horrified by what he saw Xiao Dagen sprayed out so much, so that the enormous energy left it like a flame, just much more intense and blue in color. Finally realized that the man had hit their boss. The bandits attacked evasively with the entire crowd to defeat it together. But Xiao Dagen can no longer be stopped. He simply turned around and looked back at his opponent, then at the same second running around. Everyone simultaneously scatters everyone who comes into his hands. A few seconds later, The man also stood in front of the 4 bandits, only he was standing, but they were lying with their faces facing the ground. He was afraid of what he saw, because he didn't expect the man to win over Xiao Dagen. At the same time, it suddenly turned its head towards him, from which it shuddered and got goosebumps from the surprise mixed with fright. Xiao Dagen slowly walked towards his final destination, whole body. She was shaking, and the man himself only looked pitying. He took a step, and then suddenly ran away from Xiao Dagen with words for help while running away. He stepped on shards from the car window, and so unsuccessfully he fell against the pavement with his teeth. Then a few teeth by now, he'll know what it's like. But Xiao Dagen was in no hurry to help him. He sympathized with the man. However, on the contrary, he stomped on her back and added that he wasn't done with her yet. At this moment, the Butsu regained consciousness while sitting beside the car. Suddenly for him, the footsteps of the dungeon at his feet. He squeezed it with his shoe, which made the man very uncomfortable. The attacker had no choice but to start apologizing to Xiao Dagen. Then, after that, he asked to take it off as well and added that he has a family. But Xiao Dagen only reacted negatively to this by saying that he wasn't interested because she was asking how he was going to apologize to her. The man, under the strong pressure on his legs, begged Xiao Dagen to stop, otherwise he would break his leg. After saying that nothing came to the Dagen bandit who stopped hurting the man and used his own strength of 10,000 poison. Then Xiao Dagen created poison and formed it in the form of his saliva. The poison landed directly on Baotizu's face, as if burning it, from where the man started screaming, uncontrollably writhing in pain. After finishing with the man, Xiao Dagen headed towards him, who was lying on his back not far from Xiao Dagen, said that he only noticed how the man was shaking in fear. Then, Xiao Dagen asked why she was shaking so much, and if she wanted to take her phone. Then, he replied to Xiao Dagen that he didn't need a phone. But Xiao Dagen said that he gave him a chance to take Xiao Dagen's phone for free, pointing to his old cell phone. After finishing talking to Yutsai, Xiao Dagen threw his phone aside, thereby sending him flying down from the bridge they were on straight into a large pool of dirty water. Xiao Dagen ordered the man to run to the phone and brought it to him, before he sinks with his tip. He started to deny it by saying that his mother had invited him to dinner, and that he should come home quickly. Hearing these words, Xiao Dagen became angry and warned the young man. However, if he didn't, then it would meet Xiao Dagen's requirements. She should do the same with him. By shaking him, you are saying that he can't do it, showing that he can't even eat normally, because he no longer has front teeth. Xiao Dagen didn't listen to the young man, kicking him off the bridge right into the puddle he flew down. And finally, after touching a puddle, immediately started looking for the phone that Xiao Dagen had thrown away earlier. However, a few moments later, he shouted that he couldn't swim and looked like he was choking, and asked Xiao Dagen to help him approach Xiao Dagen, and said the man was literally suffocating, and it wasn't time to help him out of the water. But she told him he would be able to hold on a little longer, so they won't do it. Worried about him leaving the Yukai alone with water on the line, Xiao Dagen turned his head towards the Botsu, who was also lying on the ground near the car. But Xiao Dagen didn't pay much attention to this. He kicked the man's leg, telling him to get up from the ground faster, adding, so he didn't pretend to be dead, otherwise he would use poison on the Bao again. The gang leader stopped the young man, calling him words full of affection, and asked him to listen to them, because he was the man who offered it to Xiao Dagen. However, men decide not to hear about her. However, only ordering him to grab his people and help them draw his eyes out of the frightened waters of the Bao. But can only say that he would immediately carry out Xiao Dagen's order. Otherwise, the man will feel sick, screaming to his gang to wake up about he lifted everyone off the ground and ordered him to get his eyes out of the water immediately. Then after that, his gang quickly got together and started carrying out orders. Moments later, he was dragged to dry land in a state of complete exhaustion, but with the same phone in his hand that was noticed. Xiao Dagen, and quite surprised. Xiao Dagen said that he forgave him this time, but if it happened again, then Don Jing wouldn't be so good in the end. After he was done with the man, turned to him and told him that if he didn't make more trouble, most likely his face would heal and nothing would be left on it. However, it would cross that person's path again. Xiao Dagen looked at them, and after a little thought said, that everything is fine now it's turned around. Then he told Qiuxia that they will leave here and ride the bicycles they left behind under the happy wishes of the bandits. He snuggled up to Xiao Dagen and asked him when he gets really cool. So the man was very embarrassed and put forward the reason the man told him. Then after that, an old man taught him kung fu for several years at the university. Now the young man trains less. However, he asked him to wait a moment, and after a while, maybe he will become stronger. Zhou Yuyin asked Xiao Dagen what kind of kung fu could be so strong. He suggested that it could be a dragon. However, that Xiao Dagen said that it wasn't him, adding that his style was much stronger than the dragon style. Then the young man decided to finish talking about this topic and said that they have almost reached their village, and adds that he will definitely take her to his house. She agrees, and he thanks her for the help given to him. In the city crowd, people can be seen crowded into buses, and the bus stops at the school. Someone said a school trip was like hell. He wondered if I should move or quit school. What weak words from our main character's protagonist. Then someone heard saying, Sungwoo Sunbae, those were weak words from a former Special Forces fired sergeant. Is the Special Forces section a hoax? How could it be possible that you, who faced such cruel training, couldn't even stand the 2-hour journey, he said. Then Sungwoo replied, Hanho said that after you served in the military, how long are you going to postpone it? And a conversation ensued between the two of them. They are both school friends. After that, they walked to class. However, when walking on the stairs, you can see above the sky that the writing appears to download monsters at 99%, and after 100%, it disappears. But when Hanho told him that there was writing in the sky, it was not seen by Sungwoo. Hanho also tried to convince him. He actually saw the writing in the sky that said it was downloading monsters. But Sungwoo doesn't believe it. He said, This naughty boy, what game do you play before sleeping? He really thought Hanho was hallucinating and left him straight to class. When the professor explained, Sungwoo became sleepy and wanted to close his eyes. But a notification appears on the screen. There's a question. What is the best job to survive in a fallen world? Please choose one. It made him very surprised to see it. He thought he was hallucinating. However, there was a power outage. It made all the students worried and afraid. It turns out that Sungwoo wasn't the only one who saw it. However, all students in the class can also see it. This is not a hallucination. Everyone can see it. They were only given 15 seconds to choose their respective jobs. Status windows appear. In that status, there are many cards that contain jobs for players, and the players are very confused by what has happened. Some even told them not to touch the card. Everyone realized that it would be more dangerous not to choose the card in front of their eyes. But after that, the sword fell in front of the fat kid, making everyone confused. Was it the warrior card that had disappeared? Sungwoo thought, wait, come to think of it, the world is falling. Doesn't that say to choose the best job to survive? And a different number of stars. I don't know what it would be better to choose a star. The more notifications appear. You have selected a job card with 5 stars. Windows will notify you that the first job selection has been completed, and those who did not choose a job will get another chance. After that, someone appeared from behind the door, and he was attacked by goblins, and that person was killed by a goblin. After killing one person, the goblin shouted at everyone, which made everyone get scared and run. Everyone asked their friend who had a soldier job to use his sword and fight. However, his friend was very scared and didn't want to attack. The goblin started attacking Sungwoo, but when Sungwoo wanted to run, he realized that it would make the world the same as the person before. Sungwoo immediately turned around and kicked the goblin. Sungwoo immediately took a chair and fought against Gobin, and he was able to defeat Gobin with a little overwhelm. A notification appears that everyone gets 10 points for killing goblins. Everyone gets shocked. They wonder what this is. Don't say the world runs like a game, he said. Sungwoo was surprised that a notification appeared again, which states under your authority, the dead will become your followers. The followers behind Sungwoo were Gobins who had died coming back to life as skeleton goblins. Sungwoo thought, it's true that his job is to summon the undead, and he is a necromancer. The problem is that 2 goblins appear from behind the door. They're here again. This time there were 2 undead waiting for his order to fight. Sungwoo says, get rid of them for me. Hearing that order, the skeleton goblin immediately attacked the 2 goblins. However, the skeleton goblins were overwhelmed by 2 against 1. And finally the hand of the skeleton goblin was cut off. Seeing his skeleton slashed, to give him his sword so he could fight, but Minsu rejected that. "This is mine. I took it," said Minsu. "Then why don't you fight him?" Hearing that Minsu was very scared, seeing his unreliable friend, Sung-woo immediately grabbed a chair and threw it at the faces of the two goblins. Seeing an opening in the skeleton, the goblin immediately attacked and killed the two goblins, which earned everyone 20 gold coins. Skeleton goblins started approaching Sung-woo and asked him to praise him. But when Sung-woo saw his face, he told the skeleton goblin to look the other way. It made the skeleton goblin become gloomy. And the two goblins that had been killed had already become skeleton goblins. Suddenly, one of the students screamed and told the professor in class, "If the police cannot be contacted." Everyone assumes that this incident is only at school, but they were very surprised to look towards the window, because it's happening all over the country. Even the world saw that. They all planned to leave school, but when they left the classroom in the dark alley, there was already a goblin waiting for them all. The goblin immediately shot up and attacked the people. However, the goblin's skeletons immediately blocked the attacks from the goblins. He told his friends to run, and himself would hold off the globins, but they all scattered instead. While Sung-woo and the skeletons also fought with the goblins, regardless of all continued to fight against the goblins. However, one of his skeletons began to be pushed and received an attack. Lucky that made the head of the goblin skeleton lie, and skeletons that are killed cannot come back to life. And the two skeletons who saw that started to rampage and kill all the goblins that were there. And he earned 20 gold coins, and he also immediately rose to level 2. After advancing to level 2, he immediately saw his status. There are still columns that have not been filled in, and then comes the gift card, when Sung-woo leveled up. However, it is a random card. All pick up random skills. That took him out of all 4 to 4. That makes the remaining mana from the source 3 of 30. "You are not wasteful, right?" said Sung-woo, who ordered the skeletons to stand guard. Meanwhile, Sung-woo calmed down and rested. After a while, everyone decided to have a look around. He was so surprised because the situation outside was more chaotic than inside. Sung-woo decided to go around and order his skeletons to stand guard around him. While going down the stairs, the skeleton met Hanho. Hanho, who saw that, was very surprised and immediately attacked the skeleton goblin himself. Sung-woo, who saw that, was very surprised and told him to calm down, because what he attacked was his skeleton. Actually directly asked Hanho, what job did he choose? Hanho proudly answered that his job was a thief. That made Sung-woo can't stop thinking. Why did Hanho choose the job of thief? After that, they decided to walk together and look for a safe place. While running, a notification appears. If they both get that synergy effect, because skeletons have the same weapons as Hanho. Sung-woo, who saw that, was a little confused, but he thought that it was a profitable thing for them. When you get to the bottom, they were faced with goblin soldiers and goblin generals. However, the group was weakened by the effect of the scent of death level 1, which reduced the enemy's skills by 30%. It frightened the goblin warriors. Sung-woo ordered his skeletons to attack the goblins. Due to the effects of the scent of death, the goblins were slightly overwhelmed. The goblin general, who saw that, did not remain silent. He activated Madness of the Wild, which made the goblin group strengthened and able to attack back. The skeletons were all starting to get pressed, thinking about whether the skeletons were moving according to his orders. Sung-woo immediately looked at the goblin general, and immediately ordered the skeleton to move towards the goblin general. The skeleton that was already in front of the goblin general immediately launched an attack and slashed the goblin general's hand. The goblin general immediately kicked the skeleton that was attacking him, due to the effect of the goblin general's bracelet disappearing. That made the skeletons get back up and attack the goblins, and slaughtered them all. Seeing that, General Gobin immediately attacked the skeletons. However, with the cooperation of the skeletons, they can kill the goblin general. Sung-woo earned 55 gold coins. It looks like the item is the item Sung-woo said. He immediately wore the general's bracelet and spear. It was a common grade spear, and a rare grade spirit of the wild bracelet. The effect is that the skeleton's attack speed will increase by 20%. After that, Sung-woo managed to find the people at the school door. One of the people was seen calming everyone there. It was Jin Seok, one of the student council members. Sung-woo didn't really listen to Jin Seok's words, and he headed towards the exit. "I told you to stay away from the door, it's dangerous," said Ji Seok. It made all and should be very surprised. However, Lee Jin Seok immediately apologized, and told him that the situation at school was very serious, because many monsters had appeared in the school hallway. And Jin Seok immediately asked Sung-woo what card he chose. But before that, Sung-woo said that Jin Seok immediately suspected that Axis was Spider-Man because he was carrying a spear. There, Jin Seok boasted, because he said that he had caught the goblin that attacked him and told him to take refuge in him. Because the job of Jin Seok is a shield soldier. Then Minsu is seen telling Jin Seok if there is a sound coming down the stairs. There, Jin Seok told the students to take shelter in the cafe, but everyone invited Hanho to look at the door. Seen on the sealed door is a quest for players. The quest tells players to defeat a boss monster within 2 hours and 11 minutes. If not defeated, the monsters in the school will be strengthened. Seeing that everyone decided to go and kill the boss monster. However, he was stopped by a goblin on the stairs. It made Jin Seok and Minsu very scared. However, in Hall 11, Sung Woo's skeleton appeared. "What the hell is that?" said the frightened Jin Seok. But he told them to calm down. He asked Sung Woo what his real job was. Something extraordinary, he said. He immediately activated the scent of death, which made the goblin's skills decrease by 30%. He said, "Let's start the hunt." Now Sung Woo is at the top and fighting against the goblins attacking there. He just wanted to run, but the beggar just slaughtered them all. When the goblins wanted to run away, Sung Woo told the skeletons to block the stairs, so that the goblins couldn't escape. If people saw that this creature was under his control, then they would think that he was in control of the situation. Then everyone will unite against the boss monster. The impact of the resonance and the spirit of the wild bracelet made it easy for the skeletons to kill the goblins. After that, they defeated all the goblins. That made the people very happy, and after killing all the goblins, Sung Woo got the achievement for killing 20 monsters, and get a lottery ticket prize. Lottery tickets, he doesn't have inventory. How he put it. After that, Sung Woo went to the people in the cafe. Everyone sees the message in front of the door, so it won't open with magic or anything. Sung Woo tells the others to come with him and search to defeat the boss monster. One of the people told him that the monsters were on the top floor. However, after finding the goal that had been set, everyone looked very scared and didn't want to fight. Everyone realized that because what they were fighting was a boss monster, and he decided to go with Hanho. Even if we fight that monster, we won't get good results either. They pass through a narrow hallway, so they will be in trouble. He said your skeletons are more useful than the people behind, the word that has the job Tiger Hunter. The three of them decided to go fight the boss monster. But while walking on the stairs, they were blocked by a goblin. "The two of them are also on top of you both, covering the back of Suho said." However, with a quick movement, Jisoo slashed the goblin in front of her. He must be in awe of Jisoo and call her great. After that, they all managed to kill all the remaining goblins. When we almost reached the top, we saw Professor Huang, who was lying on the ground and helpless. It made Sung Woo very worried. There, the professor who was seriously injured. He said that if a disaster occurred, he would just follow orders and take people to the roof. However, they were very surprised to find a more dangerous monster and killed everyone there. Before the professor died, he told Sung Woo and the others not to go up, because it's dangerous. After the professor died, a quest appeared for Sung Woo. The quest requires them to avenge Professor Huang, and he will get exclusive skill prizes. Seeing it all, Sung Woo immediately asked everyone to go upstairs. They entered the upper room and were seen in the boss area. The goblins had made settlements, and there were the corpses of the students. That made Sung Woo very surprised by what he saw. "Gosh, that's my classmate," said Hanho. Sung Woo told them to calm down and think carefully about how they will deal with this situation. Sung Woo said, "Let's go. We will beat them all." One of the goblins who saw Sung Woo's group approaching, he immediately alerted the other goblins. Seeing that, Sung Woo ordered his skeleton to prepare to fight, and all immediately activate the skill of the wild, and they immediately attacked the goblins. However, the attack was stopped by the skeletons, and they counterattacked the goblins and killed them all. Hanho felt really useless. He groaned, "This was useless. Why did I choose this job? Though I thought this would help. But it seems useless," he said. Hanho, who was desperate, immediately threw his dagger, but it hit the goblin and killed him. It made him very confused. "It's true. This is my specialty," he said again enthusiastically. Hanho threw the dagger again and killed one goblin. He thought, "It seems I have found my skill." Sung Woo's skeletons immediately activated the scent of death. That scared the goblins and ran. But from one of the houses a boss monster appears. The goblins who saw that immediately kowtowed to the boss monster. A notification appears. The boss monster, the Goblin Centurion, has appeared. The goblins became enthusiastic again and immediately attacked them again. However, Sung Woo was able to defeat them and get rid of them all. The skeletons and the goblins attacked each other. The goblin boss immediately beat one of the skeletons until it shattered. The boss monster continued to attack the skeletons in front of it. Sungwoo moved quickly to save the skeletons, and a notification appeared which of all the monsters left 20. Suddenly the boss monster received an attack from a distance that hit its arm. "Feel my abilities," said Hanho, who was very arrogant. But the boss monster didn't get any damage at all. But he got even more angry and chased him. The skeleton ghost who saw it tried to help Hanho. However, the boss monster easily destroyed them all. While continuing to chase, the boss monster received an attack from Jisoo, which made him fall backwards. He said, "I only got to attack him once. Damn you, cheap." It's an extraordinary technique with very strategic movements. This woman is amazing. Seeing this, everyone immediately noticed the direction of movement and ordered the skeletons to surround the boss monster. When the skeletons attacked from behind, Sungwoo immediately launched an attack that made the boss monster's ears disappear. That made Sungwoo's mana decrease to 3. The boss monster that got hit instead counted the remaining skeletons and smiled, and immediately hit everything in front of him. Sungwoo, who was unable to avoid it, was thrown backwards. Sungwoo says, "We will die if we keep pushing ourselves, but I only need one more attack." "That attack really knocked him out," said Sungwoo, who was looking at the weapon beside him. The boss monster continues to rampage and teach everyone, but Sungwoo had already taken the 2 swords he saw. After that, he ordered 2 skeletons to attack from 2 directions. However, the boss monster was able to withstand both of their attacks. However, he was very surprised because there was a sword floating above him. The sword was caught by the skeleton with one hand, and he directly attacked the boss monster. However, it didn't work because they used the same weapon. Sungwoo and the others got a synergy effect. They have the effect of attack speed increasing by 10 and weapon weight decreasing by 50%. And one hand gets individual synergy. Sungwoo, who saw this, immediately moved to attack the boss monster together with Jisoo and his skeleton. This made the boss monster very confused, because it was attacked from 3 directions. Sungwoo immediately launched an attack towards the boss monster, followed by attacks from Jisoo and Hanho, also attacked from a distance. "Now sacrifice yourself," said Sungwoo. Skeleton immediately attacked the boss monster from behind. Everyone bid farewell to the first skeleton. However, unexpectedly, the skeleton was able to kill the boss monster with one attack. That made Sungwoo very surprised, and he got 225 gold for killing the boss monster, and he also rose to level 3. Suddenly, Sungwoo's skeleton evolved into a commander because it had absorbed the boss's magic power. "What is that on his head? Why did you get a strange tattoo on your head without my consent?" Everyone immediately opened the status of their skeletons. The skeleton rose to level 2. Hanho and Jisoo also rose to level. The 3 of them chose cards again because they had leveled up. He thought, "When I leveled up too, I chose a random skill, and my update amount increased afterwards." Everyone chose the Bone Weapon Formation basic skill card. That allows Sungwoo to make weapons from corpse bones. He can make weapons from bones. After that, a notification appeared because Sungwoo had successfully completed Professor Huang's quest. Sungwoo gets an exclusive skill and his skeleton increases to 1. However, everyone was a little confused because the notification said your fate will change. On the other side from above, a thief's hood appeared from the sky. It was a thief's hood. The effect is to hide from monsters. And the value increases by 50%. Isn't this perfect for escaping? But Sungwoo won't run anymore now, because Sungwoo currently knows how to fight. Meanwhile, Jisoo got the ignition stone. If we sharpen his sword with a stone, there will be a burning effect when attacking. After that, they decided to go back down. On the other hand, at the cafe, Jin Seok scolds people for not trusting him. And he also said that Sungwoo and the others would be killed and would never come back. But at that moment, they were greeted by the students. It frightened him greatly. "Do you hope I die?" he said to Jin Seok, who was silent and couldn't say anything else. Sungwoo immediately opened the door and walked out of the school. After leaving school, they all walked through the school area and saw many corpses lying on the road. It was clear the skeletons were walking in groups. Are they hiding somewhere on campus? However, Hanho told Sungwoo that there were people who survived. These people, they were the ones who survived the battle against the goblins. Jin Seok, who saw this, immediately approached them. "He is the student council president," Jisoo said. The student council president and Jin Seok are discussing something. That irritated Sungwoo's group. The student council president is named Park Dae-sung. Park Dae-sung wants to invite all of them to join his group. But he really hates Sungwoo's skeletons, as you know them from the job card I chose. You chose a monster that kills humans. However, Sungwoo realized that Da-sung considered himself a big threat. Park Dae-sung told Sungwoo that he wanted to join his group. Sungwoo had to let his skeleton be destroyed. However, Sungwoo has no intention of joining Park Dae-sung's group. But the arrogant Park Dae-sung gave Sungwoo the last chance to think again. However, Jisoo immediately shouted that they had no intention of joining the park group at all, and he immediately went to drag Hanho and Sungwoo. After that, they walked and tried to avoid Park Dae-sung and through the footpath on the hill. The atmosphere is very quiet. Then Sungwoo said, "Stop, don't be loud. There's something above." The three of them saw something bigger than a goblin boss. After the goblins, then the orcs. The orcs seemed to scream and roar loudly. Hanho looked scared, but Sungwoo said that was good. The orc immediately shouted as it realized everything and everything else, and the orcs charged straight towards them. "A new skeleton material has appeared," said Sungwoo. Due to the very fast movement, they couldn't avoid it. The orc immediately stopped and tried to attack Jisoo. Seeing Jisoo, who couldn't withstand the attacks from the orcs, Skeleton immediately moved to save Jisoo. It makes the skeleton crumble. Everyone immediately told the elite skeletons to hold back the orcs who saw this and immediately attacked the elite skeletons. However, the elite skeleton activates one warrior armor which makes the first attack increase by 88%. Sungwoo told Jisoo to follow him and went to a large area. Even though I was sure I could block that attack, he thought. Sungwoo tells them all not to get too close and they will attack. Like the previous boss, the injured orc got to the top, but Sungwoo and the others hid in the trees. After that, the orcs entered the trees with Hanho and the skeletons immediately attacking simultaneously using daggers. However, the attack was repelled easily, and the orcs instantly destroyed two skeletons. However, he was detained by another skeleton. Sungwoo and Jisoo immediately attacked simultaneously. Jisoo attacked the orc's lower half, and Sungwoo immediately added one hand. The elite skeleton with fast movement slashed the orc's head. That earned Sungwoo 110 gold points. Everyone immediately tried to revive the orc. However, with his current level, he still couldn't revive it. "So orcs are too much for my current level." Everyone asked what card Jisoo chose. He told Jisoo, "If Sumo chooses Necromancer, I chose the Specialist Hunter card. I chose it because it was my favorite color, and it was 3 stars. So I was the only one who chose the 1-star card," said a distraught Hanho. Because the mana he collected, Sungwoo felt was sufficient. He tried out his new skills. Sungwoo made a blunt weapon. The weapon was called a general-grade femur hammer. Sungwoo distributed the weapons to the skeletons, which allowed them to gain weapon synergy. After that, they went down from the hill. When they looked around, they were very surprised because the area in front of them was locked. The seal will open. If everyone kills the boss monster there, and if they fail, the boss monster will be strengthened. The time is only 8 hours. A notification appears. Orc units will hunt and find their prey based on smell. Jisoo explained that they had a lot of people. Then more soldiers will attack. It seemed that there were orcs who had found their group and were giving chase. They became together, not a good thing. However, what is important is synergy. It is the most effective. A notification appeared that the first attack would start from 5 orcs. From another direction, 5 orcs had appeared looking for Sungwoo's group. But Sungwoo, who saw the condition, had a plan. A great idea. Sungwoo said that he would set a trap using the area and the skeletons. You can see the orcs chasing the group. Sungwoo had killed the goblins. While walking down the street, seen a skeleton in disguise. Hanho shouted at the orcs. He said that you over there are all big pigs who are too hasty. But actually Hanho was very afraid of what he was doing. The OKs immediately attacked Hanho, but the skeletons hit their heads using hammers. It makes them faint, and continued with attacks from Sungwoo and Jisoo. It earned them a lot of gold coins, and Sungwoo immediately rose to level 4. Sungwoo got an additional 2 mana, and he seemed to have gained a new skill. Hanho got the Hypersonic God skill. However, only for Jisoo to have gained 2 power points. It made Jisoo's body very light and hot. After that, they continued their journey. Sungwoo tells them to stop. An orc is seen attacking a bus. There were 7 orcs, it seemed there were few people there. Jisoo plans to help them. However, this was stopped by Sungwoo. "Let's do it. Let's show the strength of the skeleton," said Sungwoo while pointing at something. On the other side in the bus, they attack using spears. He felt frustrated. "Then fight them alone with your sword and shield," and it looks like the people there are very scared. Outside the bus, the skeletons climb into a pickup and crash into the orcs, and immediately beat them all to death. After that, Hanho and the others told those inside to open the door. After they got out of the bus, Sungwoo told Gyeongsu that he would continue his journey. Then Sungwoo asked Mr. Gyeongsu again. He said, "Like you said, it dispenses items." Gyeongsu also confirmed this. And he said even though they only did it once because they didn't have much gold. But if Sung-woo follows the instructions, it will give him an item. It's just like a shop. Then a notification appears on a blue screen. A notification like Welcome to Class E Store. Press any key to continue. Then Sung-woo tried pressing the screen and several options appeared on the screen. Sung-woo is directed to choose a lucky lottery ticket with silver, bronze, and gold levels. Really, is it true that all the items will come out of it? They wonder and guess. Then he commented that even knives could fall from the sky. Anything is possible, said Jisoo. You'll know after trying it yourself. Look at the amount of gold listed. Hanho has 360 gold. Jisoo had 584 gold. Meanwhile, Sung-woo has 1552 gold. Because Sung-woo had one lottery ticket with unlimited levels, he immediately took the gold lottery ticket. The machine kept turning. After stopping, it made everyone very happy as everyone obtained a legendary Class C Spirit Tear item. The effect increases mana to 300, and mana regeneration increases to 200%. That's a great first prize for the gold lottery. He called this extraordinary, said Sung-woo. After that, they all tried their luck. Sung-woo gets the Shield of the Vanguard. Jisoo gets Head of Subjugation. Meanwhile, Hanho only got a Class C potion package. He was disappointed. Why was I the only one who was rotten? Hanho said. Jisoo whether they should help others, because it's very chaotic there. Sung-woo casually answered, let's come up with something big. On the other hand, Park Dae-sung's group was very overwhelmed by the goblins who came. He told everyone to gather and get into formation. However, one of its members informed that someone was trapped in the front area. Ignore them. Do you think we have time to pay attention to them? Park Dae-sung ordered the people with shields to block the attacks from the orcs. However, from behind, a bus appeared which immediately hit the orc in front of it. He laughed. Gold continues to flow upwards. The driver from inside Hanho and the skeletons threw the orcs with daggers. Meanwhile, Sung-woo ordered the people who were left behind to get on the bus. Jisoo immediately got out of the bus and resisted the attack from the orcs. I have to survive. I won't be thrown down by force again. Jisoo immediately counterattacked the orc. It created flames on Jisoo's sword. It made him happy, but only for a moment. He was very surprised. Because everyone can defeat many with their skeletons. The skeletons continued to teach the orcs by throwing knives. It amazed him greatly, and considers himself like a fool. I only invest in strength, even weaker than orcs. Actually, who is that person? He wondered. After taking care of the orcs. Sung-woo immediately went to Park Dae-sung with his group. He says, didn't you say before that you don't want to be with monsters? Are you holding a grudge? Isn't that cruel? Everyone was very upset because Park ran away and left the people who followed him. What do you mean throw them away? I just want time to flow to create a new formation. I wonder if the people on the bus thought the same. He said, making excuses. It pissed him off a lot. Then a notification appeared that the orc chief was angry because the hunt had failed. That makes them restless. The bus is leaving. If you want to listen to my orders, come up. And all also resembled removing the armor from his body. Why should I let it go? How can I protect my body? He said, frightened. I'll protect you, don't worry. But you have to pay, because I'm not a group dedicated to students. Because he has killed many orcs. Sung-woo immediately rose to level 5. When choosing a card, everyone gets a notification if he can awaken a medium-sized monster. Sung-woo thought about a medium-sized monster. Maybe he could resurrect the orcs. After choosing the card, Sung-woo gets an additional 2 skeletons, which makes his undead into 9 units. And he seems uncomfortable. It was Sung-woo's trusted skeleton, and the skeleton was named right by Sung-woo. Hanho told Sung-woo that they needed another bus because there were too many people. But Sung-woo told Hanho that they wouldn't be on the bus forever. Afterwards, he spoke to the people. He said, everyone from now on we will fight the orcs. Then a new quest appears. In the quest it is stated that the orc chief has decided to launch direct battle. Orcs will chase survivors wherever they go, to beat them. Sung-woo said, as this quest said, there was no way they could escape from them, because they have to kill their boss to escape from this school. Then someone said he was in the gym, so he saw what was happening and there were a lot of them. There were roughly around 100 orcs. Everyone is shocked. Heard their number was around 100 orcs. Then a notification appears on the screen. Because the team is not harmonious, all members are subject to a debuff penalty. There is a provision that appears for the condition that more than 10 people have a level below 5. Movement speed debuff reduced by -30%. Attack speed reduced by -5%. Semiya was surprised. How did it happen? How could they fight those monsters? Then another notification appears about the penalty classification in the condition that more than 10 people have never killed any monsters. So the attack power debuff is reduced by minus 10% gold looted. And for the penalty provisions in despaired morale, in the condition that almost everyone does not want to fight, the probability that debuff will be affected by the turbidity status increases by plus 10%. 100 orcs is the end of our history. There were screams of frustrated people. Seeing it all, Sung Woo told everyone that he would fight alone. It made everyone wonder what Sung Woo said. He once again explained that he would be fighting the boss alone. It made everyone wonder what Sung Woo said, and calls himself crazy. After that, Sung Woo got off the bus with his skeleton. Meanwhile, people watched from a distance from inside the bus. There was no way he would want to go alone. From a distance, the group of orcs could be seen coming in front of Sung Woo. The orcs who shouted angrily saw Sung Woo, so he's the leader. But why doesn't the notification appear? Sung Woo thought. He must be the mid-boss. He immediately ordered his members to attack Sung Woo. Seeing that, all began to prepare to fight. Sung Woo stood at the top of the stairs. He took advantage of the narrow space to fight the OCRs. They immediately moved towards the skeletons. After that, Sung Woo activated the magnets of the wild and defeated them. The skeletons immediately threw daggers at the orcs and killed many orcs. However, the attack was stopped easily by the mid-boss. That surprised Sung Woo. His throwing attack was parried, and now was the time for the skeletons to directly attack the orc from a height with blunt weapons. However, it is easily stopped. Therefore, it made him very angry. But Sung Woo told him to hold it in, because now is not the time of his turn. When the orc insulted Sung Woo, he was hit from behind. That's what skeletons do. Only now was the first battle of the dead skeletons and orcs controlled by his power, because he uses the same weapon. A synergy effect appears. It made the skeleton orcs go berserk. Kill them all, he said. Even if we fight them head-on. Even if they are injured. They will not lose because they were born from death. The undead. This is how a real necromancer fights. Seen some people are very amazed and surprised, seeing the strength of Sung Woo. What really happened? They wonder who it is. While those who were there were very happy because Sung Woo was able to handle the orcs. This is really calculated. His decision has been calculated, said an amazed Jisoo. Meanwhile, on the other hand, where Sung Woo continues to increase. That's the effect of the legendary ocean spirit tears. The orc skeletons started to go on a rampage, and a notification appeared that the orc horde had been weakened by the smell of death level 1. That made the orcs go on a rampage and attack the skeletons. Sung Woo immediately told them to intervene in the fight. Skeleton Right started jumping and slashing at the orcs in front of him. Let us start the cleanup now. The skeletons and Right immediately killed everyone there. After killing 100 orcs, Sung Woo won a lottery ticket. And he was among the first 21 people to do it, ranking 21st in history. What is this time based on worldwide standards? While contemplating, Sung Woo saw a very fast bus. Whose bus is driving it? The bus immediately crashed into a barrier. He says, are they trying to escape? While ignoring the orcs chief. It was the student council president and his group. They were immediately beaten and arrested by the OCRS. Seriously, can't you shut up? The situation was chaotic, he said. After that, they all tried to save the student council president. He said, we will also fight. I will not be a hindrance. We can take care of ourselves, said the park group who followed Sung Woo. After entering the boss room, there were lots of hanging goblin corpses. It's very stuffy here, said Hanho. What is the boss of the orcs? Seen behind the bus, the group from the park was battered. Seeing all this told the others to prepare to fight. Thank goodness I didn't see anyone die. Are they smart enough to be able to create a stage like this? Members from the park shouted for help to Sung Woo. He said, Mr. Sung Woo, help us. I don't want to die. Mr. Sung Woo, you can definitely save us, he said, who was battered. Seeing that, Sung Woo was very upset because he was not a very great person who could save everyone. After that, Sung Woo ordered the people to attack. However, before their eyes, the group from park was annihilated. It frightened the people who saw it. What are they trying to do this time? Then a strange smoke appeared that enveloped the people. A notification appears that you are in a state of confusion due to the breath of the abyss, and their mana will continue to run out. The OCR chief boss monster appears. A low-ranking dark wizard has appeared. Hanno immediately took out his medicine box and drank a detoxification potion. He said you should drink this potion. He just gave it to Jisoo. He says, what is this? Why is this so refreshing? And you can see that Sung Woo's mana continues to increase to 4,000. Notifications appear when you experience primary awakening. Due to the accumulation of Breath of Abyss and the number of followers increased to 50 skeletons, it made him very frightened by what he saw. "I'm guessing you didn't think this would happen," Sungwoo said. It can be seen that Hanho and Jisoo are ready to fight together with Sungwoo, but he forbade it, both of them to join the fight. After that, many new skeletons appeared. It creates a lot of synergy that makes notifications pop up. Samurai Synergy Level 1 Samurai Level, Level 2 One-Armed Warrior, Barbarian Warrior, Orc Hunter Level 2, the Revived Ones Level 3, Hidden Squad Organization, and Death will reveal all its true power. The skeletons immediately attacked the boss monster, but it was easily destroyed by the boss monster. A notification appeared that the skeletons had received a guarantee of resurrection. The skeletons returned to attack the boss and were once again destroyed with ease. The skeleton that had revived made the boss very desperate, and Sungwoo is seen in a very different form than before. No matter how many times you kill them, the skeletons will keep getting up. It's true, this is death. It makes the boss very scared. He immediately attacked Sungwoo. However, it was blocked by a skeleton. He said stupid creatures have no way to escape death. The skeletons continued to push the boss until he was joined. Seeing that, Sungwoo told Right to join the fight. Right cut him off. From behind the boss monster, Right immediately slashed the head of the boss monster, and Sungwoo got 1055 gold. A notification appeared that an elite skeleton goblin absorbed the orc chieftain's power. As expected, bloating can only be obtained through experience killing bosses. Sungwoo immediately registered the loading, making Right a level 3 veteran skeleton goblin. He informed Sungwoo if something came out of the boss monster's body, but when you take it, a warning appears. This item grants demonic attributes to its owner. To absorb the power must require a demon sacrifice. It was no different from a necromancer. Sungwoo immediately absorbed the power of the legendary Grey Devil Bloodstone item. However, the rank 1 awakening status was deleted by the system as Sungwoo's sacrifice. After that, they and the others left the building. The people who saw them were very happy. The previously locked restrictive seal was now shattered. Is it really good for us to go out? We'd better stay here. They all decided to go their separate ways with their respective goals. After the bus left, Hanho asked Jisoo, "Where should we go now?" He asked where your house is, Miss Jisoo. He also answered that I live in the school dormitory. My home is on Jeju Island. Jisoo asked Sungwoo if she could come with Sungwoo. Even though it wouldn't help someone of his level, he would definitely be of great help. Jisoo's words made him very happy. And suddenly, Jisoo pulled them both down. And the bus that was moving also stopped. The monster above just chases the moving bus. You can see from the sky that there are many monsters flying around. That's the boss field. The alpha male wyvern has appeared. The monster immediately lifted the bus and smashed it in the air. Sungwoo is not a strong person, but he can be strong. Then Sungwoo said to Jisoo. Jisoo said, "We will stop avoiding monsters. From now on, we will actively hunt them." The reason why humans came to rule the earth. This is because apart from adapting to the environment, we have dominated it. After that, they started facing hordes of orcs and the tutorial ended. In the middle of the city, a goblin was seen running to avoid something. And also in that building, there are many goblins hiding. It can be seen that behind the goblin, there is a skeleton that wants to attack. Skeleton instantly killed the goblin standing at the entrance. That made the other goblins run around in fear, but Sungwoo and the other skeletons were ready to slaughter them all. Sungwoo did it alone. Hanho said not too much, just hunting goblins won't help much. After that, Sungwoo immediately chose a card because it had risen to level 6, and on the outside the skeletons had already cleared out many of the goblins. "You came," he said. "Here we have done." Sungwoo told Hanho to look after the dagger that was in the bag. And Sungwoo tells the others to ignore the goblins from now on. When asked, "You said we have to hunt to level up and get stronger." He nodded. True if you look at the amount of gold. When killing orcs and goblins, there are bound to be more monsters that have greater rewards. While they were traveling, Hanho told the others that there was an army car. It looks like a lot of soldiers have been killed. But from behind the car, there are soldiers who come out. He asked, "You are human, aren't you?" said the soldier. Sungwoo immediately said that he was human. The soldier immediately informed his sergeant. Everyone immediately looked into the car and saw that Sergeant Kim's leg was injured. He said, "So you got stabbed by a goblin's dagger?" And he replied that it was true. "I was stabbed by a child-sized goblin." Sergeant Kim notices that the rifle doesn't work at all, and they fought back using shovels and swords. Hanho immediately gave medicine to Sungwoo. Sergeant Kim, who saw it, asked Sungwoo to give it to him. However, Sung-woo told Sergeant Kim that it was necessary to survive in today's world. Sergeant Kim immediately proposed bartering to Sung-woo. That is an information. The sergeant immediately told if there was a big wolf like a wolf bull, it kills all of Sergeant Kim's units, and he also informed about the existence of a QR code. That made the three of them confused. Sergeant Kim explained that they could press their cell phone and the Play Good Book application would appear. It's an application that can be used now. Heard very good information. Sung-woo immediately gave the healing potion to Sergeant Kim. After they gave the patient and Sergeant Kim's condition improved. They continued their journey and came to where the QR code was. Sung-woo immediately pressed and opened the application. Lots of notifications appear in there. Who does this kind of thing? Sung-woo saw the post directly to the public. However, there are no posts at all. Jisoo said that it would take 1,000 gold for one post. However, a new post appeared, claiming to be from the level 8 group who already had a safe place to take shelter, and someone replied to the post. Dai was surprised to find out that it was an apartment near his house, said Hanho. Should we go there? However, this creates confusion, because there are people who are willing to throw away 1,000 gold to inform people around them. They continued their journey again. It can be seen that the person who wrote the post is big and has teeth that are very tested. In the middle of the city, there are goblins who are attacking someone. The man tried to save his child. He shouted, "Get out of the way, please. Help us. Is anybody there? Please help my son." But the person who saw it just kept quiet and closed the window. The goblin continued to attack the person. However, one of the goblins was hit by a knife in the head, and the skeleton orcs immediately attacked the goblins from behind and kill them all. It was Sung-woo and the others. "Now you're fine. I will take you safely home." The man said to Sung-woo that his food supply had run out. Seeing that, all immediately gave a little food to them. The frightened goblins immediately went into an underground passage. "Look at those idiots. They fled by a different route. This image is like a Dagen. Do we have to destroy them?" said Hanho. But the people they saved forbade them to go in there. It's a karaoke parlor overrun by a terrifying creature. But everyone instead thanked the person, because it already provides information. And they went right in. Upon entering, they met a small smell and killed the smell. But that smell has a liquid that can dissolve iron weapons. Good thing it couldn't melt the bones. "So skeletons are their natural enemies," he said. Suddenly he was attacked from behind. "Sung-woo, can natural enemies do that?" said Hanho, who was scared. A notification appears. The boss monster Elder Smell has appeared. The monster mouse immediately crushed the skeleton so that it couldn't get up again. Because it couldn't be melted, he chewed it and spat it out. Skeleton attacks will be ineffective. But that doesn't mean there's no solution. Sung-woo immediately attacked the boss monster with a bone weapon from a swallowed orc. Sung-woo immediately told the others to use the existing bones to attack the boss monster. Jisoo immediately threw a goblin bone at Sung-woo. It directly injured the boss monster. But he was immediately attacked, and the attack was blocked by the skeleton. Hanho immediately pulled Sung-woo back and saved him from the boss monster's attack. The skeletons had returned to eternal death. "You made a big mistake for doing that. The one you just swallowed carried a bag full of bones." Sung-woo immediately activated weapon creation, which caused the boss monster to explode and was immediately attacked by skeletons. This made Sung-woo get 2,250 gold. Skeleton put the liquid slime into the bottle. This slime dissolves very well. It will definitely come in handy on the road. You can see an item from the boss monster's body. It was an extraordinary grade Elder Smell core. It functions as a combination material, but at that moment Hanho told Sung-woo if there were comments that were deleted in the previous post. That made Sung-woo very suspicious, because there was no way someone would make a crazy comment and give up 1,000 gold. On the other hand, there are several people gathered in the basement. One of the people said that they would get 500 gold for killing an ordinary person, and 1,000 gold for players per level. That's also a sensation, isn't it? In the car, one of the guys asks who their real boss is. But the person beside him screamed and his eyes began to turn red. His teeth began to point and he called Red Professor. "And before you were lucky because the world was in a sad state." "I need some help," said the Red Professor. It turns out that the Red Professor has turned the bald guy into a low-class vampire. The bald man immediately killed his friend who was there. He said, "Good, you did well. That's just a smart kid." After that, the bald man who was daydreaming came back to his senses. His friend told him that 3 people had come. The 17th bloodstock has arrived. The apartment complex is an open area, but it's easier to rope in the idiots there. And seen in the car already a lot of people who were killed. Maybe the target is there. Seen in front of the car, there are 3 people wearing blood robes. That's fresh blood. Keep stepping on the gas. The car immediately hit 3 people in front of it. They were so shocked that it was a skeleton and bone weapon directly destroying their car. The bald man, who was in pain, was immediately pulled out. He said what happened. Hey, you're the 4884. He said you were right. It was you. Sung-woo immediately explained that at first it was just a simple suspicion about deleting comments. But what if it is an act that prevents evil deeds? That is the most sensible thing. And you took my bait. Hearing that, the bald man was very annoyed. Everyone immediately kicked the bald man in the head and took his friend as a hostage. Sung-woo asked the bald man how many underlings he had. But the bald man instead attacked Sung-woo. Damn, feel this. He quickly slashed the bald man's hand. In a world like this, I'm not bad enough to kill everyone. Skeleton directly attacked the bald man, and Sung-woo directly questioned him. The person explained that there were 8 members. However, with a quick movement, the bald man took off his own friend's head. Did he kill his own partner? Hanho, who saw that, felt really nauseous. Seeing the bald man's hand turn into a weapon, he immediately drank the blood of his friend. That makes the bald guy get XP, and his stamina recovers. The bald man told Sung-woo that his previous job was ninja. However, he was bitten by a red professor and turned him into a low-class vampire. The bald man immediately explained that if someone turns into a vampire, their levels will be locked and become one. However, you can gain levels by killing and drinking someone's blood. Appears all stats increase by 20%, and after 10 hours will get a minus 50% penalty. Statistics are decreasing, so there are jobs that are crazier than me. Sung-woo stepped back. If we take a wrong step, we will die. Sung-woo immediately ordered the skeleton to attack. However, the bald man quickly avoided it. Seeing that, Sung-woo immediately ordered the other skeletons to create a barrier. With one strike, the skeleton easily destroys the leader, said the bald man. When the attack almost hit Sung-woo, he was able to block the bald man's attack with his shield. With quick movements, Jisoo attacked the bald man. However, he could easily avoid it. I thought it was just an ordinary woman. It turned out to be a lioness. Then I will taste your blood first, he said. But from behind, the bald man was attacked. However, it is easily stopped. It was an attack from Hanho. Don't forget me, he said. Hanho immediately attacked with the Getting's dagger skill. The bald man with fast movements attacked Hanho quickly. Skeleton right immediately attacked the bald man with an uppercut skill. The baldy was able to avoid that. Sung-woo immediately attacked the bald man from behind. However, it can be avoided. He immediately split Sung-woo's shield. He said too slow. You kids give up easily, because you are all weak. Sung-woo once again attacked with a burning sword from behind, but it was clearly visible to the baldy. However, when he wanted to attack Jisoo, Right appeared from behind Jisoo and immediately slashed the bald man. He screams, "My blood is bleeding." Sung-woo immediately ordered the skeleton to attack, but from behind the member, the bald one came just in time. However, the bald man's hand was immediately slashed by Jisoo and Right. When his hand wanted to grow back, Sung-woo immediately attacked the bald man's neck and immediately slashed the bald head. Then a notification appears. Sung-woo got gold from a level 1 player. That made Sung-woo very surprised. Gold from players. So this is what you do to get gold. Sung-woo immediately surrounded them and ordered them to level the weapons. After asking the members of the baldy, Sung-woo immediately killed them all. That made Jisoo and Hanho very surprised. Sung-woo said it would be better, and they won't do it again. After Sung-woo beat the delinquents in the basement, he was immediately busy being discussed by online forums. Even Sergeant Kim, who saw that, was amazed by the strength of Sung-woo's group. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there are several people who are talking about Sung-woo. It's really great if we still have people like him in this world. Then shall we start too, said the mysterious person. On the other hand, in the middle of town, Sung-woo saw a new post. He didn't expect this person to actually contribute 1,000 gold to everyone, said Hanho. And all the comments that were there were just people looking for their families, said Jisoo. And finally they arrived at Hanho's house. My parents, are you okay? Hanho said. After entering the apartment, many monsters had been killed, and Hanho prayed that his family would be safe. In room 202, there was a trace of a hole. Seeing that, Hanho immediately shouted, Nuna, open this door. I'm Hanho. Hanho's father and mother immediately opened the door, and were very worried about Hanho's condition. After entering, Hanho was very surprised because his mother and father did not take the card. Even though Mom told him, why don't you pick a card? When playing Ghost Stop, I can't reach it. Sung-woo asked his father. Sung-woo asked Hanho's father. How can he block the incoming OCR? Hanho's father said that he used cockroach spray to get rid of the OCR. That's a clever idea, said Sungwoo. And they immediately take turns to take a shower because they haven't washed their bodies in a long time. Afterwards, they talked about their next trip because staying at Hanho's house was not a way out. We have to go to our destination, but the question is, where are we going? Actually, if there is a post that tells, if there is a place to take shelter. After seeing that, Sungwoo decided to go and take Hanho's mother and father. He says, sorry I asked you to come with us. They both didn't mind and said it was okay. You are the one who can protect Hanho. We will always follow you. And fittingly, it's not just a monster but a thief. That made the three of them very confused. While they were talking about thieves, a group of motorbikes came towards the group. Sungwoo saw that the gangster wanted to attack Sungwoo. He immediately called his troops and said his troops would attack them. Seeing this, they were all very afraid and decided to leave. But new monsters come. It was a pack of winged wolves that came at Sungwoo and the others. It's a pack of wolves. Seeing the unfavorable conditions, Sungwoo immediately asked the others to enter the apartment again. But one of the wolves tried to attack. However, Sungwoo immediately threw a liquid containing smelly mucus at him. It caused the wolf a lot of pain, and Sungwoo immediately told the skeleton to throw the bone weapon at the two-legged wolf. He could have strength greater than wild beasts. One of the wolves started running and wanted to attack Sungwoo. He said, "You get ready." Skeleton immediately attacked the wolf. However, the wolf was able to crush the skeleton orc's head, but the head is filled with liquid smell. Seeing that right, he immediately flew and killed the wolf. It made the other wolves very scared. However, the skeleton immediately killed them all, and Sungwoo managed to get to level 7. I feel like we're just a burden, Jisoo said. He says, no, we are just in a bad state, answered Jisoo. He also called this just a surprise attack, but he was too focused on strength, and he can become a specialist himself. Meanwhile, Hanho is still in the process of growing. However, at his current level, it was still not enough to revive him. He said, let's go quickly. Maybe they are more from here. In a different place, there is a helicopter being chased by a sky monster. The monster immediately caught the helicopter and immediately destroyed it. Seeing that, Sungwoo and the others decided to keep quiet until the monsters fell asleep. After nightfall, a notification appears from the system for everyone to have a card combined with their first job, and the specified time is only 15 seconds. And at the same time, a card disappeared in front of him. Sungwoo realized that the cards in front of him were distributed to several people. After selecting the cards around it, Sungwoo decided to choose the Black Magician card. Everyone immediately got a buff for his skeletons and theft for his enemies. Meanwhile, Hanho was very desperate because he wanted to choose a card with lots of stars. It had disappeared, and he only chose beasts that allowed him protection when killing enemies. Meanwhile, Hanho's father chose a pioneer card that allowed him to create a safe place. Looks like we don't need to go to Suwon Hwaseong. He felt happy. Meanwhile, Hanho's mother chose the chef card. You should choose a card that can help you fight. Hearing that, Hanho's parents were very desperate for raising a useless child for 20 years. Sungwoo asked Jisoo what card she chose. Jisoo chooses the Hitman card, which gives him a passive effect, which can strengthen his sense of hearing. That's really good for you, Jisoo. You picked a good card. Meanwhile, Jisoo always thought that she would be a burden if she continued to be with Sungwoo. So he will continue to try not to bother Sungwoo. On the way, Sungwoo asked Hanho's father about the details of his skills. Hanho's father told him that he could create a safe area from monsters by draining 10 mana for every 10 minutes. Seeing this 200 meters away, it will be hard for us to make a safe place and maintain a safe area. It has a large group and collects gold. It's not wise to decide to create your own safe haven, and will not go to the area. Sungwoo, because he already knew that if they went there, they would be given orders. After that, the awakened monsters began to leave their place. Hanho looked in the community to see if there were any visible shop locations, but Hanho couldn't find any place near them. Outside the building, the gang of gangsters came out and returned to their base. Aren't they robbing other people's gold? He commented. So they must know the nearest store. In a different place, the gangsters who attacked Sungwoo returned to their base. They cursed, damn it, because of that monster we were locked in the butcher shop. But thanks to that, we can eat meat now. Then he said, take me to roulette. This time only if I had the slightest chance. Last time I screwed up, because I got a survival package. Then, in another place, several youths were seen entering a building. When he comes back, They thought we had turned it off, but it was quiet. When Taesung opened the other door, he was very surprised to see his friends who were very scared. "What is this atmosphere? Where's Yujin?" he shouted. "Damn, what is wrong with Yujin?" But from behind Taesung there are people who came to him. He said, "Shut up, don't open your mouth. I can smell human flesh." "I'm very hungry," said Yujin. And the vampire group and himself were charging at him to give a tribute of 1,000 gold these 2 days. "If you're not tired, you're next. You guys can't run." But Sung Woo appeared from the door and said the others were treating us like rude customers. He wondered what that meant. Then Sung Woo said, "Everyone give him what they have. You are not afraid to lose to us," Sung Woo said while showing his sword. However, this made the vampire very emotional and immediately attacked Sung Woo. And he also knew that Sung Woo had killed his partner. However, the vampire was immediately detained by the skeleton. "Did you guys do this? This bastard?" Sung Woo directly stabbed the vampire where in his neck. "Reload the skeletons," Sung Woo said. "Don't move, Sung Woo, or I'll blow your head off," he said again. Sung Woo asks if you are a vampire stick, but the vampire smiled instead. The vampire immediately destroyed the skeleton and attacked Sung Woo, destroying his sword. When the vampire approached him, he immediately attacked him with his knife. And Jisoo immediately slashed the vampire's hand. The vampire tried to regenerate his hand. However, the effect of Jisoo's sword prevented the vampire from regenerating properly. Jisoo immediately tried to attack the vampire again. However, the attack was dodged. The vampire immediately moved quickly. However, Jisoo was able to avoid it. The two of them fought very fiercely, and Jisoo's attack was easily blocked by the vampire. When the vampire strikes back, Jisoo uses the execute senses skill, and from behind the vampires, the skeletons immediately helped and attacked the backs of the vampires. Usually, I will design with the power of vampires. But I survived. This is a really useful skill because it gets combos attacks 10 times. He could no longer stand. "So now you can talk," said Sung Woo. This person was the one who had controlled the skeletons. "I can kill him in an instant." For a moment he did not have good physical skills, but the attack failed because everyone immediately attacked the vampire by raining spears on him. If it's a monster-like body, you should be able to talk. Under those circumstances, if that's not enough, just let me know. I still have a lot of spears left. This guy is scary. Don't think you are better than us, just because you have a skeleton. He who heard immediately told Jisoo to kill the vampire. He told him, "Give up everything you have said, Sung Woo." Sung Woo and the others immediately took all the gold from the thugs. After that, Sung Woo told them to show him his shop. Hearing that, they immediately escorted them to a shop in question. But a warning emerged. He asked what happens if someone has no cards at all. That left them all very confused as to what was going on. A red window will do good with bad. And one of the delinquents was seen screaming in pain. The system tells if you don't have a card by the second chance, they will become a monster. And that person started to transform into a monster. Seeing that, Sung Woo immediately ordered Right to kill them. Luckily, they generate a little slowly. Otherwise, it will definitely be dangerous. He also apologized. But he couldn't do anything. In this situation, the skeletons immediately killed them all. And everyone gets 3,000 gold. After killing the werewolf, it made the world very shocked. What just one can get 3,000 gold? After that, Sung Woo rose to level 8. Sung Woo chose a random start and himself got an increase in abilities to 3. And after that, he raised the werewolves who had been killed. That's good. At this rate, we can even go one-on-one with the vampires now. He said, "Show us the shop." You can't tell you beforehand, but the shop is a former auto shop. He said that explained. But people took over the shop. After that, everyone immediately went to that place. They moved secretly. But there were no guards, and the situation was strange. There was screaming inside. Sung Woo immediately told them to hide behind the car. And you can see a big bear fighting against a vampire. He understood that the bear was a human who was kidnapped by vampires. They were captured and couldn't choose a job card, and eventually turned into monsters. "You damn monster, how dare you act like that," he said, "even though you are a vampire's prey." He continued to attack the bear. However, he was the one who received a heavy attack. "Wait, if I act properly. I can dive while drinking water," said Sung Woo. "Die, damn monster." The skeletons directly attacked the vampire and the huge bear together. Skeleton instantly killed the bear with one strike. He said, "I would make him my friend." While looking at the skeleton, Sung Woo says, "I need to get rid of someone to make me a follower." And all immediately resurrected the dead bear monster. "He is very big," he said. "Isn't the size limit medium?" Meanwhile, Hanho, who saw that there was a school bus, was very surprised. That's the school shuttle bus. I think it was taken by a vampire. But Yujin was acting strangely. He is being possessed by the red professor. This girl's name is Yujin. Don't worry, my every child is precious. But I wonder who killed my son. I came to have a look. But he seems like a jerk. Sungwoo thought the Lord was the calm type. But he seems to be the other way around, whatever that is. That's an annoying ability. Then Yujin, who was possessed by the professor, said, I've explained it to stupid people many times. Thanks to that, I got a call as a professor. But you don't seem interested in this. Then I'll just do what I have to do. You little pest, die, he said, cursing Sungwoo. Sungwoo immediately got a low-level curse as a result of the attack from the professor, and Sungwoo needs divine powers to analyze and lift the curse. In an instant, Sungwoo immediately kicked the professor hard. Until it bounces. We don't need your bullshit. It made him very surprised. Sungwoo got a red mark on his hand. But why doesn't he feel sick? Suddenly there was someone who said, Brother, I feel a negative aura from you. He thought that maybe that person was a priest, but he ignored it. Then Hanho said if that's true, he's some kind of priest. After that, a notification appeared that Sungwoo had received a blood chase, and its location has been known for 12 hours. And because something special happened, Sungwoo got a special quest. The quest told Sungwoo to kill people who were after him, and will get 3,000 gold. And that ticket is I have to attack the opponent before he gets stronger. Previously he had asked him about the store. Where are the vampires now? After that they arrived in front of the grade D store. This time it's not a lottery game. They are all required to choose balls of a certain level. They're all immediately try first. There Sungwoo tried first. And Sungwoo has one unlimited grand ticket which he got after killing 100 monsters for the first time. After that, Sungwoo tried to choose the ball and got first place. The first prize is a coupon item with effects. Sungwoo will get a random skill and master level. And the second is to make a room to put anything with the specified capacity. That made Jisoo and very jealous, and they both immediately tried it. Sungwoo immediately saved the skeletons with his new skill. He asked if you got any good items, said Sungwoo. However, Jisoo instead got a Class C survival package, and Hanho got a low-class tough bullhide chest guard. After regretting that, the three of them immediately went to where the vampires were. Kyung-soo was already there. He remembered that the safe place in question, which was in a military area, had been destroyed, and they were all very confused about what was happening. And after thinking about what happens after that, one of the people tells Kyung-soo that there is a safe place. The others have been posted in the mobile group. However, it was a very fatal decision because what was there was a monster in a human mask. It was the work of a bunch of vampires. The vampires killed everyone on the bus, leaving a few as slaves. But one of the vampires was surprised because in front of them stood a Right who was ready to fight. However, after seeing that it was just a skeleton goblin, they all underestimated it and immediately attacked Right. However, when approached Right, they immediately received a rain of spears from above. They said one of the vampires, and from above them, skeletons began to appear. Very happy, Kyung-soo. Mr. Kyung-soo, first of all, I hope you are safe before evening comes. But it seems my words mean nothing. The vampire who saw this immediately prepared to fight, but with a quick movement, one of the skeletons immediately beat him. Seeing that made the other vampires and Kyung-soo very surprised. He says, I will keep 11 of you alive. Sungwoo immediately moved all his skeletons to attack. He really is stronger than I thought. Not only Sungwoo, but Jisoo is also getting stronger. Continually, and Hanho should have grown up by now, Kyung-soo said. They had all defeated the vampires and only one remained. He also begged for forgiveness. He forgive me. I'll tell you anything, he said, begging for mercy. Sungwoo immediately asked if there were several people in the factory. The vampire immediately told Sungwoo that there was a vampire leader who reached level 5 and also 12 players with level 4. After getting that information, the vampire was immediately killed by Kyung-soo. He says, I know the situation inside the factory. We can't leave him alive. All my friends have died because of them. And they immediately got ready to go into the building. Inside the building were already many corpses of orcs and goblins, and there's someone up there looking at the others' work. There they were all ordered by the professor to round up and arrest people. But at that moment Sungwoo came in and surprised them all. The chairman immediately came down and came to Sungwoo. He asks, who are you? But the people who saw Sungwoo were happy. That person is really the one we saw at school. They said. The vampires who saw that immediately told them all to be quiet. He says, you didn't get the message from your boss about who I am. You killed Chairman Park. How can you act like this by casting a skill? Sungwoo answered, because I have the skill. Black smoke instantly surrounded the vampires. It made them very confused. Then a warning appears, which will now affect the entire area. Everyone was wondering what happened, and skeletons started appearing from underground. A dust effect appears, which makes the vampires get a curse, which reduces their start. Skeletons immediately attacked the vampires who were there. The chairman told them all to calm down and face them. However, the skeletons that had been destroyed instantly came back to life, which made the vampires very confused. Seeing that the chairman immediately tried to attack Sung Woo, but he was pelted with smelly liquid, which made him unable to see. It's good now that the ceiling is broken, and Jisoo has freed the hostages. Kyung-so immediately took them all with the bus he brought. Suddenly he was intercepted. "Where do you want to run off to?" he said. "This is just food," said the chairman, who ran to catch the bus. But from behind he was attacked by a skeleton that sent him flying backwards. Wright immediately jumped up and put forward the spirit of the wild and slashed at the two of them. But that attack still wasn't enough to defeat these two bastards. "They seem strong too. My head is spinning," said the chairman, seeing that the other members gave their power to the chairman, which made him become great. He could feel this power. Then a notification appears. High-class vampires are on a rampage. It seemed he had given up being human. He headed straight for Sung Woo, but was blocked by a skeleton monster. And with enormous strength, he immediately beat the skeletons that were in his way. Seeing that the skeletons were overwhelmed, Jisoo tried to help them all and added to the boss monster's back and continued by pulling Wright, which made the boss monster's body receive an attack from Wright's sword. It made the monsters go berserk and beat up all the skeletons. However, skeletons that have died can live again. However, the boss monster continued to attack the skeletons, which made Sung Woo confused. He thought that his underlings were this strong. How about the boss? Sung Woo immediately awakened the monster next to him. She felt guilty for having to use so much strength to confront him. He had to raise this wolver good and real. Sung Woo resurrected the guardian of hell, Cyberus, with the power of the skull. The skeletons immediately ate the boss monsters that were there. And with swift movements, everyone directly thrust bone weapons at the monsters. The vampire told your boss the business development was cancelled. After killing the vampire monster, Sung Woo gets 1,000 gold. After killing the vampire boss, Sung Woo earned 10,000 gold. He thought he could make himself a subordinate. Sung Woo immediately made vampire monsters his subordinates. But he was very surprised because there was a notification that Sung Woo could check the memory of his skeleton. And there Sung Woo saw the memory of the vampire, the one he had killed, their conversation with the boss, and the notification reappears. Sung Woo gets a private quest and will get immortal skills as a reward from the mission. This is the second time after the professor's death, after everyone left the building. On the other hand, Hanho was very confused about what happened to Sung Woo. Hanho said, "Oh my god, did you eat something rotten like this? I will do whatever you want, so be patient." "Hanho, wait a moment," said Jisoo. But Sung Woo started to wake up and grabbed Hanho's head. "Who eats rotten food?" he said. "That's not what I meant," said Hanho, who was very scared. "You said you would do whatever I wanted." "I didn't say that. You have to do this quest with me," said Sung Woo. On the other hand, the Red Professor is very angry because the branch manager has died. "How isn't the CEO has given power?" his assistant said. "That man was too strong." However, the professor would casually kill Sung Woo and the others for interfering with his plans. However, the quest that the professor is running is more important. The professor knows Sung Woo's whereabouts, due to the curse skill he gave. "I'll see what kind of man he is," said the professor. Meanwhile, Sung Woo and the others were collecting the items they had collected. The vampires he had killed, and the other people were treating the wounds. Dan helped Sung Woo to collect weapons. This cleaning up is endless. "Sung Woo, is it okay for us to do this?" And there they find a lot of very useful medicines. There are a lot of drugs. I'm worried about what we're doing, if there is no electricity. But apparently there is something like this. It turned out that Hanho got a small charger. Seeing that, they immediately recharged the battery on their cell phone. This charger is very easy to use. And Jisoo also found something interesting. Sung Woo saw this middle-class medicine. It can cure various infections and soothe wounds. "I think we can use this," Sung Woo said. There. The delinquents immediately thanked Sung Woo for giving them the medicine that relieved Jisun's vampire infection, but everyone told them to take good care of Jisun, and if they wanted to attack Sung Woo, then Jisoo will be killed by the skeletons, and Sung Woo also told them to always obey him. After that, Sung Woo told Hanho's father to start it. "I can finally use my hidden power," Hanho's father said excitedly. "Make pioneer games. The effect of the game makes recovery fast. In games, and managers can limit who enters the game. It feels good." Just came out of the sauna and there was Hanho's mother with a chef job, who cooks food for the people there. He said finally I was human again. Suddenly a notification appears from the system, which tells us the night is still long and dark. The system notifies everyone if there is an event that is more severe than before. The system also notifies that this event will last for 7 days. The acquisition of gold will be doubled. The second player to obtain a sleep card kills the human beast. Bosses will appear based on the region, meaning all of this is just the beginning. To survive in this crazy game we have to fight, said Jisoo. The next day it was really too much. You forced me into a very dangerous fairy tale. They all left for the nearest dungeon. He can survive alone, while you will die if left for half a day. Sungwoo, have you heard that we get replies from posts on the community? The post really tells people to be careful of people who want to save them. And on the other hand, that gives a statement if they have established a guild for their survival. And the group after him. They arrived at their destination. Sir, really we have arrived, and from here we have to walk. Sungwoo, is this really the right goal? Sungwoo answered correctly that this is our new hunting ground. It was a nest of monsters. Sungwoo and the others were immediately attacked using fireballs. It turns out the monster can use magic. This monster uses magic, but it's nothing now. Skeletons and the others immediately killed all the monsters there. He felt they resembled goblins. They can use magic, but they are very weak. The aim of this hunt was to level up Hanho, and found a new bloodkin. But he still couldn't become a bloodkin, because they are very weak. Jisoo told Sungwoo what she saw in the supermarket. This is like our school. Isn't this similar to the school gate, a busy place? It's a big building. Is there any tutorial here? After that, they decided to enter the supermarket. After entering, a notification appears. Sungwoo and the others entered a large-scale dungeon, and the entrance immediately closed. Jisoo looks very surprised, because a magic circle appeared under all of them. Instantly, they teleported to different places. Man walks into a trap. It was the sound of a monster that made the atmosphere even more shocked. There are monsters that can talk. Hanho was very confident in his strength now. However, the monsters immediately attacked him simultaneously, which made Hanho very scared. Die, weak bastard, he said. The kobolds immediately attacked Hanho. However, he didn't feel anything. He was confused why he didn't feel any pain. Hanho just remembered that he has a protection skill for 10 seconds, after killing the opponent. On the other hand, Kyungsoo and Jisoo were running to find Sungwoo and Hanho. We don't need to worry. Sungwoo was worried about Hanho, but he thought again that he didn't need to worry about Hanho as long as he was with Jisoo. Jisoo heard a scream from next to her. He asked Hanho if he was okay. He looked thirsty because he had killed all the monsters there. Jisoo was very surprised by what she saw. Strong people against the weak. That's Lee Hanho. On the other hand, Sungwoo slaughtered all the koboldses that were there. He was worried about Hanho. Is he okay? While walking, Sungwoo found someone who was seriously injured. The man told Sungwoo to take the box behind him, and the box contains an unknown variety of needles, and it is an exclusive item for Star Dragon Knights. But that person could no longer be saved, and in the final seconds, the boss monster gave me the token. Sungwoo, who heard that, was very confused, and tried to ask the person. However, he has died. This is really unfair. 5-star knight, too bad he died here. Sungwoo knows that the egg he is holding is a dragon egg, although the system calls it an unknown egg. However, the kobolds started attacking him. But the skeletons didn't let them get close to Sungwoo. Then consider this as revenge from that person. Let's get those tokens, he said, and the skeletons immediately killed the kobolds. It's strange that they don't despair. Even when they were being slaughtered, don't they have a conscience of their own? But from behind the kobolds, there were magicians who attacked. Seeing that, Sungwoo ordered the skeleton to get information and immediately killed the kobold's wizard and killed all of his subordinates. That made Sungwoo level up and get a new skill called Corpse Explosion. Seeing himself being attacked, Sungwoo immediately ordered the skeletons to retreat. And he immediately tested his new skill, which made a big explosion with the corpses of the kobolds they killed. On the other side of the room, the kobolds were very confused about what was happening behind the door. With a quick movement, the Right came in and immediately beat those who were there. However, Right received an attack from one of the kobolds. However, it was easily avoided and killed the kobolds that were attacking him. I knew you were really reliable. I think there's something important here. Until a lot of monsters are guarding. And in front of Sungwoo, there was a boss monster protected by tree roots. The boss monster immediately used his skill. Instant death magic. Players in fairy tales who are at level 10 will immediately die in a matter of 1 hour. It made everyone very confused because they were all below level 10. Sung Woo realized that this was happening. If the kobolds they were fighting were just buying time, and the word season also knew that ordinary attacks couldn't break the boss monster's armor, it would be useless. Dai said the boss monster. However, Sung Woo ordered all the skeletons to collect the corpses, and collected in the area. The boss immediately activated his skill from behind the door. During the stay of low-level wizards, the explosion made a very strong explosion. Sung Woo already felt a strong explosion. It was capable of killing boss monsters. However, the boss monster is still alive. He risked his life to reduce magic ignition to 25 minutes. "You damn time is getting shorter," Sung Woo said, running. "There should be a core nearby." Sung Woo had to quickly find her. After finding the core in question, Right instantly destroys it, and a system notification appears. Sung Woo had to destroy 3 cores in order for the boss monster's plan to fail. Now that's left on the first floor in the roof. There, Sung Woo had summoned kobolds as bodies because they were mages. After reading the memories of the monsters he had summoned, Sung Woo managed to find the next core. However, when they got there were already many kobolds' corpses scattered around. And what was sought was destroyed. A message of death must have been sent to the incoming person, but something happened that confused Sung Woo. He looked for Kyung-so and Hanho. However, Hanwoo had killed the kobolds easily. Sung Woo, you have seen that. Sung Woo was very confused by what he saw. With a changed posture, Hanho told Sung Woo to hurry and look for the remaining cores. And there are only 13 minutes remaining. They immediately killed all the kobolds there. There's little time left. Just focus on looking for cores rather than killing enemies. Jisoo, who saw the existence of the core, immediately told Sung Woo. These bloodkin are desperately guarding their quorum. He immediately threw it upwards and quickly destroyed the core. It made the boss monster's plan fail. It made Sung Woo and the others succeed from death. "You just wait. I'll make sure you suffer." "You said you got a corpse explosion," said Hanho, who had returned to normal. After that, they went straight to where the boss was. Sung Woo immediately attacked the boss monster with his new skeleton, which made the boss monster bounce backwards. "The magic you prepared has failed. Is there nothing else you want to show? If not, die," he said. However, the boss monster immediately took out roots from its mouth, and the real boss monsters have appeared. He wasn't a kobold to begin with. The boss monsters immediately attacked all of them. However, the attack can be avoided. "If the enemy is wood, I will cut it with a fire sword," said Jisoo. However, Sung Woo told Jisoo to avoid the boss monster's attacks, and from above the boss monster fell the bodies of kobolds, which were immediately blown up by Sung Woo. However, the boss monster that was attacked was able to recover. But the boss monsters get attacked from behind. It was Sung Woo's skeleton bloodkin. All wounds from their attacks can be healed by boss monsters, but a notification appears. The enemy had drained his mana and was now using his life. He's been using this from the start, but in the end it was his life that fell. It also turns out that Sung Woo uses the evil bloodstone, which makes his attack rob more than 20 mana. Sung Woo, he's not completely stopped. They've got the mark. Everyone ran. It turns out that the skeletons have piled up the bodies from the roof, and Sung Woo immediately melted it. The explosion was very strong and collapsed the building, which gets the boss monster killed. That made Sung Woo rise to level 10. A notification appeared that Sung Woo had gotten a lottery ticket, because he reached level 10, and he got lots of prizes from his possession, which increased by 5. And he got a new skill, namely, Call the Dead. Sung Woo can also summon 10 masterless zombies that will disappear for 10 minutes. And from his fight with the boss monster, Sung Woo got a sword item from the boss monster's body.